No one ever listens to my advice.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, January 10th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1102.
This is No Agenda.
Living the crackle-free life and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're fogged in, I have nothing to report. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Well, so much for our Zephyr timing then, if you can't see it.
I can't see the mud flats either.
We could die from global warming.
It could happen.
And not even know it. I tell you, John, I have been watching the CNET CES Consumer Electronics Show coverage on my Pluto TV.
Pluto.
And by the way,
I love Pluto.
This year, CNET, which I think is CBS Interactive, which is probably why they have all the Sony people on all the time.
Sure.
It's super bad television. I mean, it's really amateurish. It's just, it's incredibly crap, but therefore so beautiful to watch. And I have to say, it is no wonder you were deplatformed from PC Magazine over your 5G article.
Is that all they're talking about?
Without 5G, we will die.
Now, this year, self-driving vehicles are going to have their biggest presence ever at the Consumer Electronics Show as the futuristic concepts of years past come far closer to reality. Part of that is because of the growth of the capabilities of artificial intelligence, but we're also seeing the importance of the nationwide rollout of 5G, which is expected in the next year. Now, multi-billion-dollar investments from AT&T, Verizon, and others in 5G, which is connectivity that's about 10 times faster than broadband, underlies the platforms to connect vehicles like these to each other as well as to their surroundings.
We need this.
That enables them to be warned about objects that their lasers and radar and cameras might not catch themselves.
Warning, 5G button here, stay away.
Now, Ford announced...
Stop. Let me get this straight.
I was waiting how long it would take before you wanted to jump in on this. First of all, the growth of artificial intelligence is just fabulous.
Well, besides all that, let's listen to this theory that she has here, or this premise, that the cars will be talking to each other and driving around by themselves with the 5G. Yeah. And the 5G, which is really just a methodology for moving data from point A to point B, is also apparently, I did not know this about 5G. It's looking on the roads for obstructions and things that the car itself can't see.
Because you have all these 5G spots all around you, it's kind of like virtual bumper cars. You know, like there's a dot. Gotta adjust. Oh yeah. It's necessary. It's the platform. Can't live without it.
Them to be warned about objects that their lasers and radar and cameras might not catch themselves. Now, Ford announced just yesterday that starting...
How does this work? Hold on a second. Stop again. How does it do that?
Why do you question the magical 5G? I'm going to deplatform you from the show if you keep doing that. Do you see what I'm getting at? It's complete crap.
It's terrible that they're telling the public
but it's a push-pull mechanism.
But if it's bad TV, people aren't going to watch it. Let's face it. What's wrong with CBS?
I'm sorry. Hold on. This is actually a CNBC report. This is actual television.
Oh no! You fooled me.
This is actual TV. So, and who watches this? People who go, 5G. Listen, investors. 5G, the people are desperate. Silicon Valley is desperate for this. And in particular, Uber, who they cannot get investors to buy into their Ponzi scheme anymore. They're losing money, $1 billion a quarter. We're going to have this drone flying Uber. Oh, it'd be great. Okay, fine. Yeah, we're not investing in that. How about your autonomous? Well, we killed somebody, but we kind of we're sorry.
People have to die.
Yeah, this is progress. But when 5G happens, it'll be a beautiful thing. So just invest in us, and invest in 5G. Your future is secure.
And cameras might not catch themselves. Now, Ford announced just yesterday that starting in 3 years, it's outfitting all of its new U.S. models, not just the autonomous vehicles, with what's called cellular vehicle-to-everything technology.
Cellular vehicle-to-everything technology. Let's see. Do we have an acronym? Cellular CVT. CVTET. What is this bull?
That's the communication platform for self-driving cars that's built on top of 5G.
Yeah, it's built on top of 5G.
She said fur.
Ladies and gentlemen listening to the sound of our voices, this is bull crap.
Minimally.
It is 5G.
Maybe beyond bull crap.
5G is still 5G is still in testing phases. It's still in the testing phase. AT&T is putting a little 5G logo on your phone that'll pop up. You know, like, it's 5, but it's not. It's not actual 5G. It's going to take a while to roll this out.
I'd like to ask the question out there, why doesn't the FTC bust these guys for doing that? If it's not, we know what 5G is supposed to be. And if you don't have 5G on your phone, how can they tell you that it's 5G?
Yeah, which I think
is just a lie.
I think they're now calling LTE-M or something. I don't know but it is a lie. And the bigger lie is that these automobiles, due to the incredible growth in artificial intelligence and the rollout of 5G, which is platform that will build on top, that it's going to make this stuff safe and work. It's not. It's just not. I mean, yeah, if you blanket the whole world and every road possible with little 5G buttons that maybe send off some other I don't know. You know, I'm sure they can detect that and guesstimate how. But, you know, is that what's going to keep you on the road? Just learn how to drive.
Is there more to this fine report?
Well, I have more from CES.
That tells us that 5G is going to help control the cars and so they'll see objects that the car can't see.
You kind of got the gist of it. And again, this is what is the focus is all about 5G for all these. Everyone's solution apparently is 5G. All those things we've been promising.
Every CES show has a theme.
Mm-hmm.
They always do that, and it's called in advance. What are you guys going to do? Well, we're going to do this. What are you guys going to do? We're going to do. And so every year it was HD TV was 1 year. 3D TV was 1 year. That died.
Yeah. Yes. 3D TV. Yeah, that was a good one. Yep.
And there's all these different little things. In fact, even before HD TV, there was the analog HD TV, which was a dead duck. And there's other things that come and go, but this is the theme for this show, and they're going to be promoting the heck out of it. And you see that Gary Shapiro is on Twitter saying, "Oh, we get the 5G, it's coming." You know, he's promoting the hell out of anything going on because he runs the show, and it's all money in the bank for him. He doesn't care, and it's just not gonna. This is gonna be a dud.
Now, I think it was 5 years ago when I first introduced the No Agenda Value Network to the Talking Tube. Before anyone was using it, before there was any hype about it, and I'm pretty sure I said at the time that this thing had an Apple logo on it, people would be losing their crap. And it took a good 2 years before people caught on to it. Then it just went Superstorm Sandy, and I jumped out. I bailed because learning now what this thing does and in particular what Evil Corp knows about me. But it doesn't mean that the hype has stopped at CES, and we always have those fun reports.
One other story to tell you about as well. It's been generating buzz on the CES show floor. Check out this smart toilet from Kohler. It's Alexa-enabled, costs $7,000. Users can control the toilet's features with their voice, including playing music, adjusting lighting, as well as checking news and weather. The toilet will be available later this year.
But does it heat and spray like Japanese toilets, which are the best?
Either way, I think too much. Keep it simple.
The best.
That's just the best.
I think you can innovate a toilet.
Entertainment seat. An entertainment toilet. That is it, though.
How useful that would be in our prep.
Well, I don't know. I'd rather do that at the desk. That's it for Closing Bell today.
That's not even...
Anyway. And so it's the same every year. They show these stupid things. But I have to say, because it's so bad, the CNET coverage is kind of fun to watch. It's just because it's so bad. And you see the whole cast of Twit is on eventually. Everyone's passing through, and everyone thinks and would and should, and they know everything the best. All these people have never even started a company, ever. There was one, I think, true innovation, which again you heard about on the No Agenda show months ago. I would say, how long have I had my hearing aids? Half a year? Longer?
Yeah, at least 6 months.
6 months? Well, Widex, I have the Widex Evokes. I told you this was coming, and they announced it, and we're showing it at the Consumer Electronics Show.
Senior Vice President of Marketing for Widex USA. And I'm delighted to be here at CES because we have one of the most unique products that's ever hit the hearing aid market. We have taken an energy cell and put it inside of a hearing aid. Now, this eliminates the needs for end wearers to replace hearing aids or batteries in their hearing aids. And all they need to do is nest it in this simple recharger, and in 20 seconds, this hearing aid will recharge, and it will be good for 24 hours of use.
Tell me about this technology.
Tell me, how's that not a battery?
He said an energy cell.
What's that?
I don't know.
What's a battery?
An energy cell. Yeah. An energy storage thing. Look, I don't know, but 20 seconds.
It's a rechargeable battery he's got in the thing, which is okay. I guess that's kind of different than most hearing aids, which have those little hearing aid batteries. But it seems just like some sort of a lithium. I think it'd blow, man.
But you know what it is? This is actually
it can go off in your ear. Boom!
But here, it's a trick. It's really a trick. Now, as a hearing aid wearer, I have to change my batteries every 3 days because I stream a lot of Bluetooth to them. But if I didn't do that, probably every 4 to 5 days. So how is this really better? Even if it's 20 seconds, I got to have this brick plugged into the wall near me, with me at all times. Got to have it around. If it all of a sudden, if it goes down and you have to time it, now I'm thinking about how much longer do I have instead of just having 2 batteries in my jeans pocket.
Hold on. Here's the thing. Now, the thing that would worry me is I go traveling, I forget the damn brick, leave it at home. So
that'd be the worst.
But then I just take the hearing aids out and then I just unscrew them and put batteries in.
I don't know if that's a feature of this system.
What?
and that would be, I don't think, with whatever they have in there, and you kind of plug the device into this brick. I don't think they could still add a battery. I mean, yeah, if you have, like 2, I can see Adam. I've got the latest hearing aid tech, and I got like these huge, cans hanging off of my head. But I don't have to charge it. I don't have to put new batteries in. It's great. Oh man! But it is kind of a trick.
Let's say what it is. CES is a junk show, and when you really go to it, and you and I've been to it many a time. You go to it, and there's a few things. Sony has a big fancy booth, and different major Silicon Valley companies Apple doesn't, may or may not have a big fancy booth. With a big fancy pretty girls roaming around and salespeople everywhere. But most of the show are these small booths from Taiwan and China selling junk, gizmos, phone, pads, just crazy junk. It's a junk show.
Hey,
and that's the most interesting stuff, by the way.
I do have someone from Widex contacted me. Been looking to get in touch with him for a while, so finally something happened. But I'm going to ask about this energy cell. I have a feeling it may be, like hydrogen gas energy cell.
Oh, it's not. Then why would you have an induction brick? The induction brick that you put the thing on is just it's one of those just a wireless charger.
No. I never said that. You're assuming that.
No, I listened to him. I wasn't talking to you.
You plug it into this thing. There's a hole in it, and you slip the thing in. So I don't know if it's an electrical connector or if it's a connector for gas. I have no idea.
Not for gas.
Hydrogen, baby, in my head, in my ears. I'm a walking bomb.
Well,
don't
you
smoke.
got that anyway, but that's beside the point.
Woohoo!
Build the wall.
Yes, okay. That's our transition jingle.
There you go. That's a good one. Since that's we're talking about. So I don't know if you want to go into a little deeper thing right off the bat.
No, I'd like to air a grievance right off the bat.
I'm listening.
That our president is a liar. I mean, and by the way, the most egregious lie he told during his Oval Office speech was not even discussed by the M5M. He's a liar.
This is a choice between right and wrong, justice and injustice. This is about whether we fulfill our sacred duty to the American citizens we serve. When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country.
No, you didn't. And more people than anywhere in the world saw your inauguration. You took an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution. You did not take an oath to protect the American people. Why does no one else do it? This bothers no one.
It bothers you to such an extreme that you make it up for everybody. Nobody has to be concerned about this ever because you're on it, man. You're on it, man.
When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country. And that is what I will always do. So help me God. Thank you and good night.
Now, I believe that. I believe that he's sincere. But come on. Bring in the Constitution from time to time. It might help you in what you're trying to achieve.
I'm going to read the oath of office. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
And that's it. So help me God.
Well, that's not on the official, the so help me God thing. You can say that if you want.
Yeah. That's it. That's the oath.
Yeah.
Right. That's the job.
It's not building a wall.
Well, no, that is not in the Constitution.
Well, here it is. Let me read this part. This is the so help me God section. It's uncertain how many presidents used the Bible to added the words. Those words are added. That's not in the oath. So help me God at the end of the oath. So it's just, that's an option.
Yeah.
It's option one.
Yes.
I mean, Hillary had planned on saying, so help me Satan.
Let's take this in chronological order. I'll start us off.
Lots of attention from some of the president's critics and some in the media when it comes to tonight's primetime address. Some saying the president doesn't deserve a primetime time slot, and also suggesting networks should fact check in real time his speech. Here's CNN analyst and former Clinton White House press secretary Joe Lockhart.
Let's listen to the Clinton shill tell us why.
If I were a network executive, which I'm not, I wouldn't put this on live. I would let him give the address and I'd look at it and find out what's true, what's not, or I'd say, give me the text in advance. You have a president who's trying to create hysteria for his own political purposes, not to protect the American people.
Yeah, so a couple things about this. First of all, ridiculous. Oh, we have to protect people from what he says. We have to fact check him in real time, put it on a delay, which nobody did.
Of course not.
And the second thing is,
it costs too much and nobody would watch it.
It was known hours ahead of time. This is a 9-minute speech, and the Democrats, Chuck and Nancy, they're going to get 9 minutes as well. I mean, I always wonder why would you even do this live? Just tape it. I mean, they knew it was 9 minutes, so I guess he's and it was to the T 9 minutes, so I guess he's a really, really tight reader. They knew that, and he kept to his 9 minutes. Seems so un-Trumpian.
Yeah, it's very un-Trumpian.
I doubt this was even live, quite honestly. I don't see why you'd have to do it live.
Well, there's no reason, but the thing that got me, I thought was the funniest part, was having the Nancy and Schumer show, because it was like these two stooges.
Well, wait. First of all, from a television perspective, two things. Who decided the top? Three things. Who decided the shot which should come from top, from above, looking down on them? This is an incredibly stupid move. I think I know why. It's like, oh, I look so short next to him. They should have put her on an apple crate. She should have had a little rise. She should have had a rise, full crate, no doubt about it. Now, whoever did their makeup should be
Shot. Actually,
I was going to say, should receive a medal from the Comedy Academy.
Well, there's that too. That's the other possibility.
However, how can anyone around these people look at them and say, great, hold on, stand in front of the camera, let me look at the shot. Great. Who is in charge of that? Please consider the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group. Because, I mean, they weren't even 3 minutes into this thing, and the memes were flying. It was great.
Yeah, executive producer Soupy Sales.
Yes, exactly.
So you had these two jokers up there, and they were just like deers in the headlight. First, you had the grumpy old man, and then you had Nancy, who was the bug-eyed Nancy, and they're going on, and she's licking her lips and trying to keep her mouth moist, and then he comes on and says, I don't know what he said. And it's just like, it was so comedic. That, is this the Democrat Party? Because I'm asking the question of any Democrats to listen to the show. Is that your representation, those two?
Don't
they have anybody that's presentable in the entire party they could put up there?
Did the great Rob Reiner not sit at home and go, wow, they need some help. I'm a director. This is not the show.
For all we know, it was Rob Reiner.
You look great, Nance. Oh, man. Horrible. Horrible. I mean, if I took off my glasses and I'm nearsighted, I mean, I could almost imagine the faces turning into, our favorite movie.
Which is?
They Live.
Oh, They Live. Yes,
I could almost see their.
They both look like gruesome aliens.
Mm-hmm. That was fantastic. But in general, weak performances all around, I say.
It was a waste of time, and it was a distraction, and didn't accomplish anything one way. I think maybe it gives them the inroads to call the national emergency, which is gonna cause some problems. So Democracy Now! Covered this right off the bat, and then they brought a guest on, and I want to play these clips unless you have something that's really.
No.
These clips, there's a bunch of these clips. I got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Too many clips, but it's good stuff. This guy, William Arkin, he was in military intelligence in the 70s and became an NBC.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes. Yeah. This is the guy that recently left NBC and quit. He said, it's just too nutty. I don't want to be around it. I'm going to go write my books. He is kind of a book guy more than anything.
Well, he was working for NBC as a reporter and a correspondent and one of the intelligence analysts for 35 years.
Yep. Yeah.
So he did a lot of books, but he apparently is fed up. So these clips are interesting because he really gets to the point of what's wrong with the media and how they cover stuff and what we kind of do. But he kind of transcends it a little bit, goes a little meta. So let's listen to what he had to say on Democracy Now! Because he actually goes after them too. And Amy got a little self-conscious and got a little irked by him. But William Arkin, premise.
Oh, hold on a second. Gotcha.
So you left NBC with this explosive memo that not only indicts NBC, your network, says basically NBC, they might not like this, but doesn't stand out among the crowd of corporate networks in dealing with this issue of perpetual war.
Everything I said in this letter, which was a goodbye letter to my colleagues at NBC, applies to all of the mainstream networks, applies to CNN and Fox as well. So I'm not really singling out NBC. I was just most familiar with it. And my decision not to renew my contract was really one of thinking to myself that I wanted to stand back and think more about what we needed to do in order to change our national security policy. We've been at war now for 18 years. I don't think anybody could argue that there's a country in the Middle East that's safer today than it was in 2001. The generals and the national security leadership that runs the country and now also is the commentators and the analysts who populate the news media really are not people who we can look to as saying, wow, they won a war, they avoided a war, they achieved some magnificent objective. In fact, they are the custodians and the architects of perpetual warfare. And it seemed to me like there needed to be both a different voice and a solution. And I want to step back myself and think about how we can end this era of perpetual war and how we can build some real security both in the United States and abroad.
Well, this guy can't be a Democrat. How could no wonder he can't work for MSNBC. NBC. He's not pro-war.
Well, there's that. So let's listen to how he attacks this situation. And in fact, he has some fantastic points. This is the clip that follows that. This is William Arkin ribbing DN for Trump coverage.
I'm wondering, in terms of your concerns about the coverage of President Trump and of the Trump era, and your concern about the fixation, and it really is an obsession almost of all of the networks with covering him on a not just a daily, but an hourly, minute by minute basis.
Well, let me just say, I'm here at Democracy Now! And I shouldn't bite the hand that feeds me, but you started your broadcast today making fun of the president and his remarks last night about the border. It's almost impossible to avoid. Donald Trump runs a circus. Every day he gets up, he unzips his pants, and we go, oh my God, what is he doing? And then the next day he repeats, and we repeat. So I think that to some degree he sucks the oxygen out of the debate. He changes the discourse. And we haven't figured out yet in the news media, every part of the news media, how to get beyond that. So I'm not arguing only about the mainstream. I think everyone is stuck in the Donald Trump circus.
I mean, I have to take issue with you with saying making fun, because fun is the one word I wouldn't use. But yes, we did focus on what he had to say. The more the networks broadcast directly what he has to say, this is the information that gets out to the American people. And it is so critical to take on each point. In that case, for example, that immigrants commit more crimes than natural-born Americans, which isn't true. And it's absolutely critical each time those comments are made to counter them. But
I just before you say anything, interesting how she says immigrants versus natural born. So there's a couple things in there. One, there's an overt undertone of calling it racist. And secondly, it's about illegal aliens, not illegal aliens, not immigrants. So
yeah.
Well, this is, by the way, this is people watch this.
This is a lefty meme, and she's a subscriber to it.
Oh yeah,
and she gets all bent out of shape because he calls her out for running the story at all.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I'm working through a podcast that I found with an MSNBC producer who talks about all the stuff that goes on, but he's really approaching it from one angle only. It's money. The question is why? Well, because whatever makes money, they're going to do. So yeah, the media sucks, but the people want it. The people crave it. We want junk. Just like when the guy said he unzips his pants, I'm like, that would be a good show.
It would be. Holy mackerel.
Yes. Okay. What else?
Got a couple more here. Let's try the best one. I'm going to go to the best one right now, and then we'll play some other ones if you want to hear more.
Yeah, I do want to get back to the wall because I do have a couple other things.
But let's do William Arkin spooks as pundits clip.
Our favorite.
So you talked about the people who populate the networks as pundits. And you've been a fierce critic of the national security state, or at least understanding who it is who is explaining things to us. Reading from Politico, former CIA Director John Brennan laid a super spook, they said, to be reborn as a TV newsie. He just cashed in at NBC News as a senior national security and intelligence analyst, served as first expert views on Meet the Press. The Brennan acquisition seeks to elevate NBC to spook parity with CNN, which employs former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former CIA Director Michael Hayden in a similar capacity. Other lesser-known national security veterans thrive under TV's grow lights, almost too numerous to list. They include Chuck Rosenberg, former acting DEA administrator, chief of staff for FBI Director James Comey, and counselor to former FBI Director Robert Mueller, Frank Figliuzzi, former chief of FBI counterintelligence, Juan Zarate, deputy national security advisor under Bush at NBC, Fran Townsend, homeland security advisor under Bush, and it goes on and on and on.
Yes.
These are now the pundits. And so when you have a situation like President Trump announcing he will immediately withdraw U.S. troops from Syria and have the troops that are in Afghanistan, you have this massive attack on him that's actually led by the permanent national security state under the guise of pundits on television.
She makes it sound like it's a good thing, the permanent national security state. Nice.
Well, I think that you've... what you said stands for itself, Amy, but I would add to it that I think the real crisis is that when we have a panel discussion on television, in the mainstream press, and even in the mainstream newspapers, we don't populate that panel with people who are in opposition. We have a single war party in the United States, and it's the only one that is given voice. And so really the crisis is not so much that there are experienced government officials speaking out. The problem is that there aren't critics who are sitting next to them saying that you're full of it. And so to me, we need to balance that. And I think that probably because of the phenomenon of Donald Trump, let's just be honest about it, really what we see on TV now is former Obama administration officials masquerading as analysts who are nonpartisan, when in fact they are partisan. And indeed we see fewer retired generals and fewer retired admirals who sometimes are useful in terms of explaining the profession of arms and the conduct of military operations in favor of these political figures who have a partisan view. I just don't think the American public gets well served by the fact that there isn't a broad range of opinions on those panels. I want to see peaceniks. I want to see academics. I want to see historians. I want them to as much have a voice in terms of understanding what's going on as I do see a former Obama administration official.
We have to break.
Yeah, no, it's snooze. All right, this guy's going nowhere.
And where's Stephen Cohen?
What about
He's a good example.
What do you mean?
Well, he's the guy that you would normally see on these things, telling these guys that they're wrong.
Oh, yeah. We can't have him
a
on.
professor.
But see, this is what this guy doesn't see because he's in the milieu. And what we can clearly see, and I'll just say it again, my opinion, the vocation of journalists is null and void. You're no longer necessary. You're just adding noise and opinion and bias to it. You need editors. Like we're like editors. We're content routers. You have to do a little picking and choosing.
Routers.
Yeah, that's what's needed. The experts are the ones listening to this very show and wait, something I know about. Let me tell you. You have a trust relationship. It's better than freaking sources say. So this guy's not seeing it either. We are the future. It's just too bad that we're old because we know no medal at the end for us. No Peabody in our future.
No watch. We can get a Peabody.
That's what you think. I'm not so sure about that.
All right. The rest of these are minor. I mean, I would like you to just play the beginning of William Arkin 3.0.
Okay.
Because I don't remember what it is.
Let's get to the issue of who populates the network TV shows, which is validating an issue you have criticized for so long and investigated for so long, the national security state.
Well, I've been associated with television for 30 years. I've been a journalist for about the same period of time, but it's not my background. My background was in Army intelligence, and then thereafter I wrote books about the military. And I was called upon to be a journalist because there was a desire on the part of the Los Angeles Times, Washington Post, and NBC to have experts helping people to understand an incredibly complex issue, national security. In those days, when I started, We used to have civilian experts on the air, people who weren't former government officials, people who weren't retired generals, people who might be university professors or activists who worked in non-governmental organizations or experts who were associated with think tanks. Something happened post 9/11, something happened in this intervening years in which those people virtually disappeared from the airwaves. And we don't see as many anymore. And in fact, we increasingly see journalists who are the commentators on what's going on. Now, that's a tricky position because journalists are supposed to be unbiased, but also at the same time, they're supposed to be explaining to the public what's going on with inside information. But the end result of it is that we become shallower and shallower in our coverage, particularly in an area like national security. We've just become so shallow that we're not really able even to see the truth, which is that we're at war right now in 9 countries around the world where we're bombing, and we hardly report any of it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can't disagree with anything he says.
I can't either, and we are we're doing our part.
I want to go back to
we report on these wars. Nobody else,
Well, yeah, but again, we don't
have to go to foreign sources. We have to podcasts nowadays seem to have more good guys on it than anybody.
But also, we have boots on the ground.
We have a lot of boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground, and this works.
Yeah, but you can't start off that way.
I can see the vocation of journalists no longer existing. I can see it. People are not stupid, by the way. Even the stupid people can figure out the stupid things they need to know. Now, also stupid is the president. Here's what I don't understand. I have some advice for him. I have some advice for the Democrats. I'm baffled why this multimedia tweeting president didn't take, because I think this would have, it would be out there, but I would have definitely suggested as an option. Why didn't you just say, I'm here in the Oval Office. I got my YouTube up. Let me see. I've got some old clips here of Chuck and some old of Nancy and some old of Barack.
I agree with this 100%. And I know where you're going because there's been a couple of compilations going around, and it shows Chuck, it shows Nancy, it shows Feinstein, all going on and on and on about how we need a wall.
And here is college reform. I love what these guys do. They went to the American University in D.C. and asked people about the border wall, specifically read them quotes, told them that these were quotes from Trump, but they were quotes from Schumer, Obama, and Pelosi.
I'm going to read a few quotes here from President Trump talking about the need for the southern border wall. First quote, we should spend money to build a barrier to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. Another quote, we simply cannot allow people to pour into the U.S. undetected, undocumented, and unchecked. Quote, illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple. Until the American people are convinced we will stop future flows of illegal immigration, we'll make no progress. When you hear quotes like that, what's your reaction to them?
It's divisive. I think America is a land of opportunity, place for inclusion.
I just really think it's kind of hateful speech in general.
It's just a negative message. When he talks about illegal immigrants, it's just rude, to talk about people like that.
Kind of underlies a lot of things about discrimination and people and their prejudices and things like that. So I feel like that stuff is touchy to talk about.
There are racial biases kind of sort of deep embedded in there. In a word, I'd say it's more jingoist.
Well, I think his demeanor overall is just unacceptable.
I think just the way that he's referring to people across the wall is very dehumanizing.
So rhetoric like that is not helpful?
No, not at all.
What if I told you these were from Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton?
How about that?
Really?
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Democrats and Republicans have said things about border control.
That's interesting. I didn't think that. That's interesting. That would surprise me.
It's true.
Well then, can you tell me which ones they were respectively?
That's a very good surprise, by the way. If this were a Trump quote, I believe it would be a lot more. Maybe a lot less calculated.
I don't know. They wouldn't say that. I feel
they did.
It's their demeanor is the way they come off is I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, kind of shocking.
Yeah, there's your
what?
You're dumb fuck millennials.
Well, what I like about it, because I watched a lot of these college reform YouTube videos, to get a sense. I mean, yes, edited, man on the street. They can make that very biased. But But I think
that was not as tricky a one as some of them.
No.
It's just straightforward. And when I say dumb fuck millennials, I'm talking about people that do not listen to our show.
Yeah, of course.
Because we have some smart millennials.
Yeah, we do.
And Zoomers.
And it's the responses they gave were it's a little different than, because they always get surprised. It's always kind of the same gambit. It's the same formula that these videos adhere to. But I think they were really like, holy shit, really? That's all the president really had to do. I mean, just say no.
I am totally. This reminds me of the 92 election with Ross Perot. Ross Perot would buy a bunch of airtime, and then he'd go on with a shot of him behind a desk and
with his whiteboard,
a little whiteboard.
Yeah.
And he'd have some diagrams on it. And he says, here's what's going to happen. And he'd show a diagram, and he showed these things, chicken pluckers. He had something to do with that.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the chicken pluckers?
Yeah.
And he pointed these he put a board and he moved, and he said, look at this. And he'd show diagrams, and he would simplify his points using these diagrams.
Yeah.
And I always thought why doesn't anyone else do this? It was genius. I think it got him a lot of votes. Trump does nothing like that. And you're right. And the point that you made, which is the real point, here's Mr. Twitter. I'm sorry,
Yes.
Mr. Twitter,
Yeah.
Mr. New, he gets up and tweets, and he's, new media guy. No, he's not. If he was a new media guy, he'd show some multimedia, maybe a video, show Schumer and Pelosi going on and on how we need a wall, because those clips are out there. There's all kinds of clips out there that he could just exploit, but he doesn't. I don't get it. I'm with you. I don't get it. I don't know why he doesn't do that.
Maybe he's saving it for later. I don't know.
He's not saving it.
Now, here's my tip for the Democrats. They can do exactly the same. And this is President Trump at a graduation speech. And I would say Rachel Maddow could probably have fun with this one as well. And it baffles me that no one is using this.
Never, ever give up. Don't give up. Don't allow it to happen. If there's a concrete wall in front of you, go through it, go over it, go around it, but get to the other side of that wall.
I'm just saying. It's a beautiful clip.
Play that clip in Mexico.
No one ever listens to my advice. No one ever listens. Now, I think the best response, really the best Democratic response, was not from Chuck and Nancy. It was from AOC, who made her very first appearance on the Rachel Maddow show. I might say with zero pushback, completely friendly. She also read the talking points beautifully. So she was read in and she was prepared to be on board with, as I was watching that, I just can't help but think, no, let me step back a second. Tina the Keeper and I have been analyzing AOC for a while. And the Keeper's job, chief marketing officer at Ronald McDonald House, she is an expert in social media, writing for social media. She has a team, she has multiple people, she knows a lot how this works and what works and how you write. And she's convinced me that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not writing her own tweets. The difference between how she speaks and I don't think that you can put any science on it. I'm curious what you think, John, because you, of course, are also a writer and also social media writer. But also,
I'm convinced that most celebrities, especially Hollywood celebrities, pretty much know that they don't do their own tweets. I mean, maybe James Woods does. But most people don't. They have a public relations person that's got a very strong grip on their presentation to the public, and so they do the tweeting. They do all this stuff in that regard. I would not be a bit surprised, and in fact, now that you mention it, I'd be surprised if she did her own tweeting. Because the public relations people that can do that kind of thing, and they know how to tweet, they have specialists. They can tweet I do believe Trump. I believe that Trump does his own, because he has the errors in there. Because when you tweet and you're throwing off tweets, you say, "Oh, geez, I've spelled that wrong."
So precisely, how does it work? AOC says something boneheaded, and it's usually a technicality, not dissimilar to the president saying he took an oath to protect the country. That, those kind of big mistakes that, just shouldn't make in your position. And then the correction always follows on Twitter. And then if someone refers to it later, she says, "Oh yeah, no, but I went back and I corrected it and I tweeted the right thing, and I make mistakes." So she makes her anyway. She uses the manufactured crisis talking point, but also just looking at it, I'm thinking, Hillary is so quiet. Could it be in any crazy sense of my imagination that this Huma Abedin lookalike is maybe somehow controlled by Hillary Clinton people?
Well, I know where you were going as soon as you mentioned her.
Of course,
I thought you might even say that Hillary Clinton people who do tweeting for Hillary
possibly
are doing tweeting for her.
Oh, we should compare those. Interesting.
Well, you'd have to compare like 100 of them, because you can't really do a deep analysis of writing styles unless you have a big sample.
But you know what I mean? I think that Hillary probably Hillary with Huma and with Anthony Weiner, but also they were supposed to be the hot up and coming couple. It's like, didn't Bill Clinton
New York
officiate their wedding? She was the Hillary's body man, as they call it in Washington D.C. Of course, it's rumored that they have an affair, but it doesn't really matter. It's because if you look at it, this is AOC is Huma Abedin without all the baggage. In fact,
and she's in New York. She's convenient to Hillary.
Yeah, and all we and in a borough, and all we have is, well, she was a waitress in a cocktail bar. That much is true.
Which is nonsense. Yeah, well, that's true, but it's still who cares?
There were
they put their little machine together, and they went door to door. I don't know how much. I would like to know. We don't probably have anybody in that borough that listens to the show, but if anybody did, I'd like to know if AOC went door to door, or if it was a machine that went door to door, which is the volunteers that you put together if you know how to do it.
I mean, there's nothing like showing your shoe that's worn out. There's a hole in your shoe. I mean, the backstory is just put together pretty well.
Yeah, it's very professionally done.
It's professionally done, and I think she is a massive force to be reckoned with. But right now, she's kind of sliding in to the establishment with Rachel Maddow, and I just have 2 clips of this, but we have to listen to both. Let's check the first one out.
We can't even get laptops in the hands of our district offices because the president has decided to hold the paychecks of everyday Americans hostage so that he can fulfill a campaign. I don't even want to call it a promise, a campaign fantasy that the vast majority of Americans disapprove of. And not only that, but in the actual address, there was falsehood after falsehood, and we have to make sure that we get our facts straight. Everyday immigrants commit crimes at a far lower rate than native-born Americans.
So here's the
talking point.
I'm very disturbed by this talking point. And also, let's just hear exactly what she said here.
Straight, everyday immigrants commit crimes at a far lower rate than native-born Americans.
Okay, so she didn't say, I think we already pointed this out, she didn't say the same thing Amy said. Exactly the same. Immigrants, word for word, not illegal aliens. It was immigrants.
Yeah.
And,
Just, by the way, I should mention this. This talking point came up a long time ago. I think during the campaign. That this exact talking point with the exact wordage done exactly the same way slipped in, and then it kind of disappeared.
It's a falsehood. It's a falsehood. Anyway.
It's a bullcrap meme. It's not even, I mean, it's beside the point.
Yes.
What's the consequence of having somebody as president who's made this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the wrong one. Here we go.
And not only that, but the women and children on that border that are trying to seek refuge and seek opportunity in the United States of America with nothing but the shirt on their backs are acting more American than any person who seeks to keep them out ever will be.
See, I'm not sure why that bothers me, what she said there, but it does.
Well, a couple of things also. Did she mention with just the shirts on their back and a Soros credit card? She mentioned that.
It was in the shirt pocket. Shut up.
Nothing but the shirt on their backs are acting more American than any person who seeks to keep them out ever will be.
Okay, so, well, that's just an opinion. Now, here's the longer second clip, the only second one I have. But we really need to listen to what she is saying in here. Because she also shows the true democratic the Democratic Socialists of America vibe is we want people to come in. They should be able to come in because we want them to serve us. And you will hear, I mean, I can't hear it any other way than she is just racist. She feels there's no American dream. This is what I'm missing. Where's the American dream? You come here, you want to, look at the Rolls Royce and say, I can be that guy. All I have to do is work really hard and put my nose down to I gotta go to the grind wheel. I gotta do it. That's not there anymore. It's just this, you come on in and be my slave.
What's the consequence of having somebody as president who's made this core to his message and to what he wants his presidency to mean? What is the harm that's caused by him talking this way and using this sort of platform the way he has, even when he can't get his policies passed?
I can tell you a very personal story. As many people know, I was working in restaurants just a year ago, and when the president first assumed office with his racist and violent rhetoric.
Racist and violent rhetoric. That's a new one.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the violent rhetoric.
People started to send themselves home.
Send themselves home. This is a very interesting term that she uses a couple of times. People started to send themselves home. And although for me it conjures up an image of getting in the UPS box, leaving a little hole to call the guy and then closing it up, slapping the sticker on top.
Yeah.
I think she means self-deportation.
Yeah, that's what she means.
And as we know, in restaurants, hospitality, every American eats, if you can, if you're lucky enough, we're able to eat 3 times a day. And that means that we interact with the people who prepare our food 3 times a day.
Okay, so just so you know, illegal aliens prepare your food 3 times a day. That's what they do.
When those people start to go home, go back to the countries which they originated from, because many of them consider the United States their home. Mm-hmm. Those places, they go into dysfunction. I remember one of our lead cooks brought himself back to Mexico because he was so scared.
This is so interesting. Brought himself back to Mexico. Help me. Why is she using this tense and this?
There's a reason for it. There's a reason. By the way, she's still being trained.
Yes.
By who, I don't know. But there's a reason for it. We need that linguistics guy that we used to fall back on, who I think is now your sworn enemy or someone. Remember that guy?
My sworn enemy?
Your buddy that used to be in Austin. It was a linguistics expert, and he's the one who pointed out that some of these anomalies and speech patterns and performatives and all that.
The professor.
Yeah, the professor.
Oh, he won't talk to me.
Yeah, he moved to Stanford. He's all in for Obama, hates Trump, and he won't talk to you anymore.
Oh no, he hates me. He thinks I'm a racist Republican.
Yeah,
for sure. And I have white privilege and need to shut up.
Of the president's rhetoric, we had an insane amount of dysfunction. We're talking about local restaurants. We're talking about local businesses. We're talking about shuttering neighborhoods. And we're talking about people feeling unsafe. And no one should feel unsafe in the United States of America. And that includes our amazing and beautiful and productive immigrant community.
Again, immigrant. So what is she talking about? Are these illegal aliens or immigrants?
Well, this has been going on for a while, trying to confuse the public by mixing two terms, illegal alien and immigrant. They equal each other. So you're trying to make it make it
the same. Make
them the same.
Yes.
Even though they're not the same. There are people that have come to this country from Mexico and elsewhere. Many of them work in restaurants. And they came legally, and they got their green card, and then they eventually got their citizenship. They went through a process. And then there's a bunch of people that just snuck across the border, and they're taking jobs away from these other people because they'll work a little cheaper, or maybe not. But the point is that they're trying to conflate, which is probably the wrong word, the two terms. So you think, oh, yeah, immigrant is good. It's just this is the socialist, borderline communist training she's going through. Rachel's all in on it. She doesn't question any of this, obviously. She's a complete stooge, but it's disgusting.
Pennebaker, Professor Pennebaker was our linguistics guy who hates me now. My stunt brain informed me.
And moreover, the one thing that the president has not talked about is the fact that he has systematically engaged in the violation of international human rights borders on human rights on our border.
Do you think she was reading maybe, or she had? Because that was an interesting mess up. That felt like a teleprompter flub, like it was a line below it.
Did you see her look? You'd see if she was looking at a prompter. I don't think so. She's rehearsed all this stuff. It's in her head. They've gone over it a few times. You got to say this. You got to say, oh, no. Don't use that word. Use this word. Oh, okay. And so they got her all keyed up, and she flubs one of the rehearsed points.
Right.
I'd like to hear it again because there may be some revelation in the flub.
Okay, hold on.
And productive immigrant community. And moreover, the one thing that the president has not talked about is the fact that he has systematically engaged in the violation of international human rights borders on human rights on our border. He has separated children from their families. He talked about what happened the day after Christmas. On the day of Christmas, a child died in ICE custody. The president should not be asking for more money to an agency that has systematically violated human rights. The president should be really defending why we are funding such an agency at all. Because right now, what we are seeing is death. Right now, what we are seeing is the violation of human rights. These children and these families are being held in what are called hieleras, which are basically freezing boxes that no person should be maintained in for any amount of time, let alone the amount of time that they're being kept on.
This is also new. I've heard this a couple times. The freezing boxes.
Yeah, new talking point.
Which I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't really care. But
I think we should look into it because if she says it, that means it's part of a bigger message.
And moreover, even if you are anti-immigrant.
She also likes using this moreover now.
I know. She said moreover about 3 times so far.
Well,
and she emphasized it when she does it. She doesn't say meanwhile and in addition to, there's a million things you can say instead of moreover.
It doesn't sound like a Bronx thing.
And yet, exactly, it also sounds staged, it sounds rehearsed, it sounds like somebody told her to say that. Say moreover.
Alone the amount of time that they're being kept on. And moreover, even if you are anti-immigrant in this country, the majority of immigrant overstays, the majority of the reason that people are undocumented is visa overstay. It's not because people are crossing a border illegally. It is because of visa overstay.
Yeah, let's just, and this is something that is also used in an interesting way, because I know a lot about it. I've helped multiple people become legal green card holders in the United States. And what she's saying is a visa overstay, which means you lied, came in, you said, I'm just here visiting, unless you had a work visa, at which point you also have a responsibility and a date to leave. There's all kinds of different visas. But I think in general, tourist visas have been abused for this. And she's making it sound like, oh, they were let in and, just like, kind of like, your driver's license lapsed, it's like, you might get a ticket. But no, that's not exactly true.
Mind you, he's talking about legal immigration. He's trying to restrict every form of legal immigration there is in the United States. He's fighting against family reunification. He's fighting against the diversity visa lottery. He's fighting against almost every way that people can actually legally enter this country, forcing them to become undocumented. And then he's trying to attack their undocumented status. This is systematic. It is wrong. wrong, and it is anti-American. And again, those women and children trying to come here with nothing but the shirts on their back to create an opportunity and to provide for this nation are acting more in an American tradition than this president is right now.
That's right. We need more people to provide for us, to serve us. Yeah, we need a new class.
Restaurant help.
She's going to be great in 2020.
I don't think so. I
know you don't.
She hasn't got the chops.
She will.
I don't think she's smart enough to get the chops. That's why I know what you're saying when you say she will, because you rehearse somebody and she gets slicker and slicker. But no, she's not that bright. And she can't, she already flubbed in that bit, and she keeps saying moreover. She's not that bright, and if somebody's not that bright, you can only go so far with them, and they'll drop her like a hot potato. If some other multi-culty looking woman with big eyes and a big smile.
Okay, all right. Well, hold on a second. Hold on. You're saying if another, what would that other one have to have over her that would all of a sudden displace AOC?
Brains.
All right. It's like a callback to when I said Trump is going to go all the way, and you were like, go Jeb Bush.
I never wanted Jeb Bush.
No, but you said Jeb Bush would win.
I think at some moment in time.
Don't make me play the clip again. This is fact.
I'm not denying it. I said that, because I was seeing the way things were going, and it looked like they were I thought the media was going to gang up on Trump to such an extreme that they would get Bush to run and lose to Hillary, because the whole idea was to get Hillary in.
Right.
And that's what the scheme was. Well, so the fact that I identified this scheme and identified it properly doesn't mean I'm a schmuck.
You're missing this scheme. This is much bigger than we can see at this point. I think she's very.
There was a scheme afoot.
Yes.
Behind Anthony Weiner, as you recall.
Oh yeah. By the way,
it didn't work out now, did it?
By the way, what this situation really needs, because where we are now is we're arguing, it's just a cockfight basically. What we need now is a good old-fashioned false flag. That's the American way. We need something to happen down at that border that convinces everybody, whoa, this is what we got to do. Where is that? The days of Obama and Bush, man, we did things differently.
Well, I don't know that. Well, the difference is that Obama and Bush both were part of the intelligence machinery, and Trump isn't. And so he can't initiate these sorts of things.
Correct. But the Democrats could. I think that's kind of my point.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, I'm going to make a prediction. First of all, I got this quick clip just because I want to have it on record of Whoopi, who is either not being read into AOC, or I'm not quite, maybe she's her public handler or will be.
Sit still for a minute and learn the job. Because there are people in that party who have been working their tails off for this country.
They know a lot.
And they know a lot.
And
you could learn some stuff from them. And I just feel like, you don't have to be born into it. You don't have to know it when you step out. But before you start pooping on people and what they've done, you got to do something too.
Well, she hasn't done
well said.
Stop pooping on people. Very nice. So that would kind of make sense.
She's going to get a memo.
Well, no, she would be anti-Hillary. You see, Whoopi does not like Hillary, doesn't want Hillary. She's in that camp. And that just gives me more kind of feeling that this is somehow a Hillary-type puppeteer thing. It could be. I could be completely wrong. It's my theory du jour. But here's what's going to happen. The Democrats will indeed make some concession with the president. And there will be some form of barrier, and he will tout that as a huge victory. And I'm going to tell you why this is going to happen, because the cracks are showing. We have Cher tweeting, Nancy, don't die on this hill. He stops at nothing. You're a hero, but let this one go. That's Cher. Cher saying, let him have this one. Here's The Daily Show with Trevor Noah.
You realize there were all these flaws in America that nobody ever noticed before he showed up. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, bam. Oh, wow. What is that? Oh, the president doesn't have to show his tax returns. Oh, and the president doesn't have to divest from his businesses. And holy shit, he might be able to pardon himself. That's crazy. And so now, thanks to Trump, we've learned that during a national emergency, a president can do way more than just build a wall. Right? Shut down your internet, send the troops in. You can just control the country. So if I'm the Democrats, I would give Trump the wall before he finds out what he can really do. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. Right now, he's like the baby from The Incredibles, right? He only knows that he can float. We do not want him finding out that he can shoot lasers out of his eyes.
Now, I don't know if this is coordinated, if it's a milieu talking point, if this is happening individually, but I'm noticing it. And I think we'll see more of this.
Beginning with that thesis, I think we should at least try to figure out why this would be happening if it was a talking point and they're bringing it into play to there's a reason they bring it into play, and is it that these people we do want a wall? I mean, Nancy and Schumer used to want one. Do we want to just give him the wall and let him screw it up? Or
I think Nancy painted herself into the corner with it's immoral, and so they needed to get a way out of that because she hammered that so hard, and I think that's the problem. And I have a feeling that there's pressure of people saying, this is actually a problem. And by the way, back in the Barack days, we'd have a good old-fashioned false flag. So let's do something about this before this nut job does something.
Could be signaling for a false flag.
Ooh, please. God forbid. I despise it. Is our American way, but I despise it.
Yeah, because it always turns up with
with dead people.
Dead people, because they just can't do a real. Well, there's always dead people.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to you, John C. Where the C stands for share, Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam McCurry. Also in the morning to all boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the troll room. Hey, trolls. I love having you here, my trollaramas, with your troll polls out and batting each other over the head. That's noagendastream.com where you can follow along live, listen to the show, troll away. Also, in the morning to Darren O'Neill, second time in a row, he's on his way to another hat trick. This was the artwork for 1101. The title of that was Tippy Top. And this was the gasoline sign with low prices and then Trump's Got Talent. It was kind of a compilation piece of little memes that occurred in the show.
Yeah, it's hard to explain why that one was the best.
And you had something to say about the monikers.
Oh, yes. This is a warning to Darren.
This is a D-notice.
D-notice to Darren. You will not get your hat trick, because we're now expunging the use of Podfather and Cranky Geek.
Yeah.
As the monikers. It's Crackpot and Buzzkill. That's our thematic monikers. Yes. And the other ones which have come and gone, and once in a while, out of the blue, there's something that's funny. We like it. It'll win a competition. But the consistent use of your own designation, which is then it is yours because you do it all the time, is now verboten.
Okay, so. There you go. Otherwise, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Trying to level the playing field here.
Really, really appreciate it, Darren. And of course, we thank all of our artists who diligently submit artwork at noagendaartgenerator.com. They put that in for value, and it's, of course, incredibly valuable, not just for us, but we have also in the network, we've got noagendashop.com. A lot of these pieces wind up over there, and the artists make money, and it's a beautiful thing. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. And as we always do at the beginning or in the first segment of our show, we like to thank what we call our executive producers and associate executive producers. And as I was watching the Golden Globes, I realized that these credits that are real credits, because when you finance the episode, you're an executive producer or an associate executive producer, just like Hollywood. But here's the difference. During the Golden Globes, during the Oscars, You do not see an award for producer, now do you? Best executive producer. Do you see that? No. They're shunned. Shut up and produce.
Well, the writers are also shunned. They never mentioned their names in the nomination.
Yep. All of this
stuff. They did it on the last award show. I bitched about it then, and they did it again.
I know, but we don't have writer credits. We have executive and associate executive producer
I'm just
credits.
saying that there's a bunch of bigoted prejudices out there that include. You're right. Executive producer should be. Money guy should get a little award. They probably give a little mini award.
They don't want these guys figuring out how valuable they are, and I think that we're on the right track with our value for value model, and we like to honor those who are supporting this program financially as producers.
Now, I do want to I want to thank people, but we also had our meetup, and I wanted to say it was going to be on Thursday. I was going to credit these guys. So we do have 4 executive producers in that category who donated at the Flash meetup at Berkeley, and I want to mention them.
Okay.
That one is an anonymous mac and cheese guy. He sent an envelope with the money and then a mac and cheese certificate, and there was nothing written on his. I don't know who it was.
Oh.
So we put anonymous. Then Sean Wilkie, and I have a note from him. Actually, it's a very short note. It's no big deal. This should be it. Mazel tov to the best podcast in the universe. Thank you for shepherding us through the morass that was 2018. Please send some karma my way.
You've got karma.
And then there was the long note came from Brian Holcomb, Ryan. No, Ryan had. Well, there's actually Brian Holcomb, Potterville, Michigan. That's the guy I wanted to bring up, and also Ryan. Yeah, no, I got him mixed up. Sorry, Brian Holcomb. I have to read his note because it's $333.33 to be one of the executive producers. But he came in from Michigan, and he was in the area. And we had a number of people that just kind of were passing through. They found out about the meetup. They stopped by.
Oh, really? Cool.
But he actually was intending to send this in, I suspect, because he wrote a long note. I want to thank you for your tenacious deconstructions of these lazy newsologists. I've been off the donation since episode 1020. May I please be de-douched?
You bet. Oh, holy shit. Sorry. Oh, man. Oh, that was bad.
You've been de-douched.
Wow.
I want to duplicate that donation at $333.33. Since my departure from the Automotive Union Dimension B ecosystem to the Dimension B Silicon Valley ecosystem, many life changes have followed me. John had it right when he wished me luck. It has been tough for certain. Thank goodness for a wonderful lady for her patience support of our life goals. I need job karma badly. May I please have some. I'd also like to request respect. Pew, 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 and droned again, my personal fave. Since I've touched that nerve, there are a few topics. Now, this is a little longer because I have to read this. There are a few topics that really irked me since my move to Silicon Valley. For one, Tesla sucks. Their customer service, their relationships with employees, and the fact that the megalomaniac Elon is a con artist is too readily apparent. Here is some news for you folks. Tech guys cannot build cars. I figured out why California wants autonomous cars. They can't freaking drive. Another topic that happened to be here locally is a train wreck called Theranos. Everybody needs to read the book Bad Blood. Elizabeth and her crony boyfriend need to be jailed. The disgusting lack of due diligence taken by these old geezers is amazing. Warren Buffett was the only exception. He at least let the author work unimpeded. George Shultz's treatment of his own grandson is appalling, which, by the way, was pointed out in the TV material about this. So to wrap it up, if any of the producers are looking for a manufacturing guru, look me up. I want to wish you gentlemen a prosperous new year and continued karma for all the producers out there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
RESPICT.
The drone again. Naturally.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And last on the list of people that were at the meetup and gave executive producer amounts is Sir Scott of Diablo. All right, so we got 5 guys that need to be put on the big list.
Great, guys. Thank you. Gracias.
And I'll mention the other people that were there with lesser amounts at the break.
Oh.
Jennifer, by the way, it was a great meetup. A lot of great people to talk to. It was a lot of fun. And I got had a good discussion with our friend from he was, I don't know if he wants me to say this or not, but I'm going to say he used to be at General Motors.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer Weeda in Lawton, Oklahoma, 556.92. And she says, as you know, I recently transferred funds from my previous contributions to Greg Davies so he could finally get his knighthood. However, living the mac and cheese life has meant that I have not been able to contribute actual value for quite some time until now. My university family finally classified me as a in-state student, which resulted in extra money being applied to my financial aid toward the semester. I have attached this extra to no agenda as a thank you for your excellent work. And thank you for that donation. It's quite nice. Very generous. The show keeps me informed, entertained, sane, and grounded in a reality which, as you know, is essential to surviving higher education with critical thinking skills intact. I think so. My contribution brings me to damehood, and I would like to be known as Dame Jennifer of the Gypsy Nation. May I please have pierogies and peppermint schnapps at the round table? And for Jingle, she would like a Manning whoop him with the Constitution and a little girl yay.
And I need to write this. Hold on a second.
Pierogies.
I gotta write that down. And a karma as well. We'll give her a karma, of course.
Now get out there and whoop Obama's behind.
What the hell is this? Find the darndest things on my hard drive.
Yay!
You've got karma.
Fine stylings there.
Find all kinds of interesting things.
Yeah, we did have Charlie Mingus in the studio to help us on that one.
Sure.
Sir Tim of the Malacca Straits in San Francisco, 33333. ITM gents, please accept this donation. I request a career, relationship, and house finding karma. I also request that you put up with the insanity of the M5M. Oh, no. Gentlemen, that you put up with the insanity of the M5M.
That's the second line, John. That's a different donation. This is just, I think he just has one line.
Oh.
He just wants some relationship.
It's the light blue. I'm sorry.
Here you go. Relationship and house finding karma.
Yeah.
You've got karma.
I wonder if she was trying to transition that. David Boda is the one who is doing all the talking. He's in Monroe, North Carolina, $333. And he says, gentlemen, that you put up with the insanity of the M5M, the frustration you cause each other, and all the douchebags listening to give us all a twice-weekly shot of sanity speaks volumes to the kind of people you are. Your cutting deconstruction of the popular narratives is a vital service that all listeners benefit from. So to those listening that have not donated, I say get off your ass and support the best podcast in the universe. Play a douchebag call out for all of them. Douchebag. Sincere thanks for all that you guys do. Your work will forever be appreciated by everyone who's not an NPC that discover it. Keep up the good work. Love and light. Shout out to my brother Bill Boda for hitting me in the mouth a couple of years ago. Can I get an intro to the ant song Sharpton saying Khashoggi? And Obama, you might die. 2 to the head and a goat scream. And some
Holy
jobs
crap.
And border wall. And yeah, try to keep this down to 3.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me just see. This is, yeah, exactly. Try and keep it to something less for the old guy. It gets a little...
Guys, yeah, he can
gets a little complicated after a while.
Too many buttons to push.
Yes.
I got ants. I got ants.
You might die.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Dedouched.
I'm going crazy here. And he wants jobs karma. Oh, shit.
Karma. Jobs.
I'm just doing everything I can.
Jobs and jobs.
Let's
vote for jobs.
It was too much.
Karma.
It was too much.
Space Force.
I was trying to find everything. I was just nuts. Sorry.
It's fine. It was a good job. I thought it was outstanding.
It was sucked balls. It was horrible.
Sir Zacchaeus, in Noblesville, Indiana, $250. Crazy times require sane reporting. Thanks for providing a couple doses a week. Lots of jobs and a little goat karma, please. I'm trying to land a new gig with a not-for-profit.
All right, Sir Zacchaeus.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Anonymous, $234.56. This is a late Christmas and New Year's gift. I've been enjoying you guys hammering climate change. The company I work for bought solar panels a few years back, $1 million worth. For 15 years, we get to sell the electricity generated back to the public utility at 0.19.9 cents per kilowatt hour. Whereas we buy electricity from the same company at only 0.095 per kilowatt hour. That's the only reason it made financial sense. Otherwise, without the subsidy, it takes about 40 years to pay back the investment and break even, which obviously sucks. Just give solar panels to the poor and same impact, but nah, socialism for the rich, capitalism for the poor, saving the world with stupid ass shit. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw to you, Anonymous. Always there to brighten our morning.
Yeah, you're always complaining.
All right.
Doug Proctor in Duncan, Oklahoma, $200. He'll be an associate executive producer. There's no note that I could find in the email or elsewhere. You might want to look while I'm reading. Patrick Comer, Sir Patrick Comer, as I recall, $200, parts unknown. As Trump would say, this donation takes talent. I called up my credit card company, and $200 showed up in the hands of John and Adam via PayPal. Talent. What you guys do also takes talent. Thanks.
Well, yes. I'll take some of that. Yes, thank you.
Talent.
It is. Hey, you know what? I'm going to be in the Computer Museum of History. Computer History Museum. That's what it is.
In Silicon Valley?
Yes.
Why?
Oh, thank you very much. How about I was instrumental in changing the broadcast landscape?
You going to give a lecture?
No. I'm enshrined. They had an hour and a half interview with me, and it's going into the archives. And as
and a bust?
That's what. Yes, I want a plaque and a bust. They promised me they'd bring it up in the next meeting. No, it was good. Actually, I recorded it on my end. I'm thinking.
Oh, you didn't come down here?
No. Please. No, what I would just sit there with my Tourette's, listen to my beautiful voice through my. I recorded the whole thing on my end. The guy's like, "Oh, your recording's much better." Yeah, why don't you use that? Much better. Great. Perfect.
I'm sure it is.
But the guy.
Well, congratulations! This is another one of these lifetime achievement awards.
Yes, it is kind of. I was very proud of that.
I think you should.
Because all these douches in Silicon Valley, they'll keep that museum going forever for their legacy.
Yeah, they'll throw you off eventually. It will.
What's this excess drive space we need? Throw Curry off.
Get rid of him.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate the vote of confidence.
I'll lead the charge.
That's too kind, just too kind. And is that it? Yes, that is it.
That's our group of executive and associate executive producers, including the meetup folk.
Yes,
for show 1092.
Who, unlike Hollywood, we actually honor the producers, people doing a lot of the financial work and more. And we love giving credit where we can give credit. So thank you for this. These are the credits you can use anywhere they're accepted. And, maybe a producer will go, holy crap, you got a shout out for that? Yeah, come work here. Or not. You never know. We'll be thanking more people, $50 and above, in our second donation segment. And remember, we've got another show coming up on Sunday. You can support us as a producer at Dvorak.org/NA. You've got all the dirt you need on AOC. You can go and hang out with your libtard friends.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
Speaking of the Golden Globes.
Oh, yes, we should at least give them a mention.
I have one clip to play.
Good. I'm glad you got something because I watched it and it was, it's not a good. I did notice a couple of things. There are some people at certain tables that got the Moët.
I saw
Magnum
that. I saw that too.
Well, no, everyone had Moët, but we're talking about the Moët Rosé.
Yes, I saw it. I saw the difference. I wonder if that was a choice they could have made beforehand.
Well, nobody in their right mind would have picked a regular Moët, Safeway wine as opposed to the rosé, which is always a well-made product.
Yeah. Okay, what else did you notice?
I noticed that, and those are in magnums too, many times, which is a big giant bottle. And what else?
Yes, I'm quite familiar with the Magnum size.
Yes, I'm sure you are. Magnum XL. This is the beer you drink. I don't know. What else did I notice? I can't recall anything important.
No, there was nothing important. Although twice when someone was doing the whole diversity thing, they stopped. The orchestra was stopped. In fact, I noticed that they were playing somebody off, and she started talking about diversity or something. Yeah, and they stopped playing her off. And at the end too, when Bohemian Rhapsody won. The guy, he also was getting into his whole diversity, equity thing. That's the word, by the way. Equitable. It's got to be equity. Which is a nice co-option of the word. Yeah, then he said, stop. And they stopped. They went way over. They were at least 15 minutes over time. It was just, I should have gotten a clip of the president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
Oh, that woman?
She was the funniest. Like, we're under attack. Like, oh, please rattle your pearls if you agree. We're under attack. We're under attack.
Rattle your pearls.
But
it was a bunch of rich guys. This whole thing is ridiculous.
The best.
They're moaning and groaning.
This show gets the best.
Rattle your pearls.
Hey, even I can steal from John Lennon from time to time.
A good one.
Here is one of the best native ads I have seen in a long time. It was funny. It was spectacular. It was real. They got the name check. It's I don't know how it worked, but I'd say A+ for this advertising moment.
Normally at this point of the show, the host would do something fun and spontaneous to show how we're all just ordinary people, like ordering pizza for everyone.
But since we already get food at the Globes, we thought we'd mix it up and try something new. So roll up your sleeves, Hollywood, because you're all getting flu shots!
So, if you didn't see this, all of a sudden, like 10 people walk in with white coats. And they're real. You'll hear in a second. It was a Rite Aid commercial, and they actually inject a few people, and there's a couple of jokes in here. But it is a native ad for Rite Aid and for their flu shot. It's flu season after all.
You know you wore a sleeveless gown for a reason.
Hey, shot. Excuse me, ma'am. You're definitely gonna want to get Defoe.
These nurses are all licensed professionals straight from the Rite Aid in Echo Park.
And look, if you're an anti-vaxxer, just put a napkin over your head and we'll skip you.
So, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. The whole idea. And
it had to cost a few mil.
And you saw, and you saw like Willem Dafoe, like, no, go away from me. And and of course some slaves like, oh yeah, stick it in my arm. Can you imagine? I would be freaked out if someone came near me.
It's very easy. You say, hey, no, I already had the shot. I'm good.
Yeah.
I already had the shot. I'm good.
Yeah. So that was. I thought I liked the host. I thought it was cute. They did their anti kind of meta opening. We're gonna rip on everybody, but we're not. Yeah, it was cute. The ratings were
always cute.
Yeah, ratings were kind of flat. Maybe down a little bit. Who cares? No one cares. No one cares. Let's see. Well, while we're talking about Hollywood, why don't we briefly speak about the Brexit, the
movie.
Yes, the Uncivil War, Brexit, the Uncivil War.
Okay. Did you watch it?
Yeah, let me just explain that this aired on, this is, now, hopefully you heard our last episode. We had Dominic Cummings, a marketing speech, how he did everything, played several clips of that. And that was in anticipation of this being released on Channel 4, which it played on, I guess, Monday in the UK. And on January 19th, it'll be on HBO. And Cumberbatch, Sherlock Holmes plays Dominic Cummings. The movie is really about him and how he did it.
So let's take a look at I have a clip. Because I had nothing but trouble finding a clip.
Well, first, overall impression.
I liked it.
I thought it was very accurate. Although, right at the beginning, it says this story is devised on actual events, not based on, or this, not a true. It said devised, and if you look up the definition,
it was devised. They played it. There was a dramatic.
It literally means we made shit up, but.
They made a lot of stuff up. It's pretty obvious, but the gist of it was accurate.
Yes, and to a marketer or a hack like myself, I thought the most interesting parts were how he came up with the slogan, how he found out what was really bothering people. But the whole thing, including right up to the end, you could have put any titles at the end of this movie you wanted to.
Yeah.
And you could have made it sound like, wow, Facebook did this. You could have said, wow, this guy's a marketing genius. He was smart. You could have said, wow, isn't it fantastic that, you found the true people, like the woman in the focus group who just starts crying and wailing, and she's clearly one of these, the 3 million.
That's the clip I have.
Well, good. Let's play that. Let's set it up, and then we'll talk some more.
This particular clip is about the Remainers, the Remain campaign, which had a bunch of professional marketing guys because they weren't going to take a chance. Cummings, the guy on the other side, on the Leave side, was more of a kind of a visionary type. And so these guys are going with the standard operating procedure, the standard way to do things, and they had the best guys doing it. And so there's this moment where they're showing a focus group. They use focus groups a lot. And there's a focus group, and the general manager of the campaign, who knows about all this stuff, he's watching the focus group, and he sees that the woman leading it is doing a piss poor job of getting the kind of responses that he's looking for, because he's not getting the responses he's looking for. So he just decides against everybody's
all protocol and focus group science.
Yes, he violates the rules and barges in because he's so annoyed, and he tries to control the focus group. The focus group quickly goes out of control with him in there, and it results in one woman at the very end crying her eyes out because with her commentary that this EU thing has done nothing for most people in this country, and I'm particularly miserable because of it. What can you do about that? Why should we even want you? And you can play the clip.
Hey, any more thoughts on that?
Wait, what? No, that breaks the whole... She's not testing our argument. Yeah. Right, sorry.
Excuse me, you can't...
Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, who are you?
The hard facts, right? The Treasury receives a net benefit of £20 billion a year from EU workers paying into the system, growing the economy. That's after using public services. So they are paying for more care, more teachers, more... That's not a good thing.
Yes, no one's saying that's not... Sorry, how much are we paying to be over there? Yeah? 350 million.
Okay. So have none of you heard our messages on... That 350 million...
you're in trouble as a marketer if you say in a focus group, have no one heard our messages?
Yeah.
You get in trouble.
Pounds is a lie.
You would say that.
No, it does not exist. It has never existed. A cheque for that amount has never been signed. We will not get it. If we leave, what will happen is that our currency will collapse and the economy will contract.
How do you know that? You lot get things wrong all the time. I don't know why we pay anything.
Well, to be a member of the single largest trading bloc in the entire world.
Well, what benefit am I seeing from that where I'm from? I'd rather it go in the NHS, like they're saying.
Ah, you do realise. This is, bad. People making these promises, people that you have never heard of, Dominic Cummings. That they're not elected, they're not going to form a government, despite having made billions of pretend spending promises post-Brexit, that they have no power or responsibility to see any of it through.
OK, we could take a little break.
Or Aaron Banks and his diamond mine in South Africa, or Nigel Farage, the old stockbroker, Boris Johnson, Jacob Rees-Mogg, yeah? They're going to be fine, aren't they? This is just a game to them, a debating society. But the risk to you and your children...
There's no risk. Come to where I'm from. There's nothing to lose.
We've got something to lose. Our age. You lot have had your lives. You've had your
my
jobs
life.
and your
What
homes
do you
and
know
things. It doesn't
about
matter to
my
you,
life?
yeah? Take a risk. Sod it. Thank you very much.
I've lost everything.
Because you are nervous about people with a different colour skin and a different accent.
Thank you very much.
Sick of being called that.
What did I call you? What did I say?
You know what you were calling
No, I
You
don't
know what you were calling
no,
me.
I don't.
Racist.
Racist. When
That's
did I
what
say
you were
that?
saying that.
Sorry, she's right, all right?
Not hate crimes. It's one bloke being fault is molested.
Right, it's true. We can't say nothing now without that coming up.
And that's
You say I'm a racist.
Look, there's no need to...
It wasn't on
You can
purpose,
sit there all
okay?
you like and say, I've had my life coming from your big city. The past few years have been fucking awful.
That's right, so let's make
If you must know
that will solve the
and all I
problem.
hear all the time is, shut up! Shut up. Don't talk about it. Don't mention it. Ever. Well, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of feeling like nothing. Like I have nothing. Like I know nothing. Like I am nothing. I'm sick of it.
I hope that was valuable for people who have no visuals.
I think it worked.
So my overall impression, especially that part, was really the way they wrapped it up with just a bunch of title cards at the end, just to shape your brain into what the takeaway was, because you could have done anything with this. It seemed factually pretty correct. The impression was kind of given that these 3 million magical people they found who had never voted, and this went through machine learning and all kinds of magic voodoo from Facebook. It sounds just like regular marketing principles to me. That they are the only ones, and that they made it happen, and that's the only group that has to be addressed. Where really it was just the group that they found out and addressed that pushed them over the 50% mark. But they kind of made it feel like, well, oh, sure, there's people who are unhappy and sad and doesn't work for them. And then at the very end, it's all like, well, this happened, but there was probably campaign violation, laws were violated. And don't forget, this was Steve Bannon, Robert Mercer, Trump.
Well, there was definitely a connection with the Trump, the use of the colors red, which was their color.
Mm-hmm.
Although
but they just said it at the end. Trump. That was the last word on the screen. Trump.
Yeah, Trump.
Sad.
That kind of ruined it. But I thought the overall movie was really good, except for all that crap at the end. Now, they had that guy interviewed on one of the morning shows in England, and I listened to him. He's a very interesting director, and I guess he wrote it too. But if it shows up, I think it's worth watching. It's got a lot of good. It's just a good drama, and Cumberbatch is great. They even have him bald, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, and that was good. It was very enjoyable piece.
And the funny and Cumberbatch is a very staunch Remainer, and so he played this guy, and he did it well. He's as a pro. He's just a really good actor. Now there are some things going on over there about Brexit because the Parliament's gone berserk because they can't pass anything.
I have a background clip on Parliament and the Bloc.
Okay, and then I have a Theresa May on a talk show commenting about what she thinks is going on.
Okay, so this is the backgrounder.
UK lawmakers once again flexing their muscle as they seek to assert control over Brexit. By 303 to 296, MPs on Tuesday approved an amendment to the finance bill to prohibit government spending on no-deal Brexit preparations without parliamentary authorization.
The ayes have it. Unlock!
It's yet another setback for Theresa May. 20 MPs from her own Conservative Party broke ranks to vote with the opposition as parliamentarians try to head off the prospect of Britain crashing out of the EU with no deal in place, which many fear would bring disastrous consequences for the UK economy. May's government says the latest development is a mere inconvenience and that a no-deal Brexit remains a possibility.
We've been working on the basis that no deal was a potential outcome from the very beginning. Our main aim is continuity of trade.
Last month, May abruptly cancelled a scheduled vote on her existing deal with Brussels in the face of its certain defeat in Parliament.
We will therefore defer the vote scheduled for tomorrow.
She pledged to secure further EU assurances on its most controversial elements, despite statements from Brussels that they were done negotiating. But May has been meeting with EU leaders in recent days and says a new vote on her deal will go ahead on January 15th. Opposition to it, however, remains strong, a troubling sign for the UK and Europe alike.
If the idea is to be defeated in order to have better grounds for negotiations, there is an extraordinary risk to this, and I wouldn't do it.
Speculation has mounted that if it loses the vote, Downing Street will be forced to seek an extension of Article 50 and delay Brexit. But May's government insists that's not on the table and that the UK will leave the EU on March 29th.
All righty. And they say we're nuts.
They have, and they had a thing. One of them, after that report, there was another vote for something, or there was an attempt to do an amendment. Then the speaker shot it down, and then there was an edict that when they do have the next vote, they have, and they don't come up with anything or it doesn't pass, they have, and this is the part that's new, they have 3 days. They can't push this off. They have 3 days to come up with a plan B, and they have no plan B. So here's what May said. And I think this was also predates the plan B problem, but she does have an interesting. She's on a talk show, one of the major ones, and she's yakking about this. And she does have something at the little gotcha at the end that I thought was unique.
Is a Labour leadership and Labour Party that is playing politics. Yes, we are going to hold the vote. You said it was due to be next week. Actually, the debate starts next week, and the debate will carry on into the following week. But we will be holding the vote.
We're talking about the 15th or 14th, around
that sort of timing. If the deal is not voted on, as this vote that's coming up, then actually we're going to be in uncharted territory. I don't think anybody can say exactly what will happen in terms of the reaction we'll see in Parliament.
You could.
Because well, if I can just go back to what I was going to do, which is setting out what we have in the House of Commons. What we have in the House of Commons is a Labour leadership and Labour Party that is playing politics with this, that is opposing any deal in order to create the greatest chaos that they can. We've got people who are promoting a second referendum in order to stop Brexit, and we've got people who want to see their perfect Brexit. And I would say, don't let the search for the perfect become the enemy of the good.
Whoa.
Because the danger there is actually we end up with no Brexit at all.
That's her slogan, huh? She's going to run with that.
Everybody
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Well, if you listen to the end, she says the possibility exists that we're going to have no Brexit.
Well, so from the do-over camp that she spoke of, this is Conservative MP and Brexit do-over proponent Anna Soubry, S-O-U-B-R-Y.
Yeah, she's the one. Yeah,
she's the one. What? She's the one.
Well,
what?
she's the one who was shouted down during an interview outside of Parliament.
That's what I have. But
by the Yellow Jackets. Yeah.
But this is a very odd BBC montage. So, they start off kind of interviewing her, and then they jump to another spot, and then the people are calling her Nazi, and it was just weird.
Constituents who voted to leave, Anna. Anna, why are you not doing that, Anna? Why are you not doing that, Anna? Anna, I want to know why you're making up lies about me.
This could go on for a while.
No, and that's why that's the other thing that has now got to happen, is we have to be absolutely... I do object to being called a Nazi, actually.
Right. And look, they jacked up the audio on her, too, to make sure you could hear that they were singing that she's a Nazi. It's like a bunch of football dudes. This is great.
A Nazi, actually.
Right.
Nazi!
If you were offended by what you listened to.
I just think this is astonishing. This is what has happened to our country, actually.
They're even drowning her out. There's no reason for this. This is an edited piece. They've jacked it right through what she's saying.
What's happened to our country. But anyway, let's try and move on and be positive about things. She can't keep coming back with the...
You can't even hear what she's saying. They just jacked up their microphone of them singing that she's a Nazi. Nice. By the way, the Queen of England, she's got to have the ultimate white privilege, don't you think?
Definitely.
Just in the scheme of things, isn't she the queen of white privilege?
I'm surprised that she hasn't done something about this whole thing.
Yeah, just wanted to say.
I think she's too old.
If you're done on Brexit, we had another important political event take place.
I don't know. Am I done on Brexit? I got to see how this run down Chef Kelly News. I think so.
An upset in the Democratic Republic of Congo election. An upset, I tell you.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yes, we were pretty sure that the winner of this election would be the ExxonMobil guy. But no. With a margin of about 500,000, 7 million votes, 38%, Tshisekedi, what's his first name? Tshisekedi, beat out Fayulu. And Tshisekedi is son of a previous, a politician who was actually, he died at 84, just before he could see his son take the throne. This guy, Tshisekedi, grew up in Europe, and every bio that mentions him talks about he did a number of odd jobs in Brussels before going back to the Democratic Republic of Congo to run and win the election. So it will be very interesting to see what happens now. This could be a French guy versus a U.S. intelligence guy, that there were two different factions. No way do I believe that this is a people's choice. It's not their history. It's not their culture. It's not how it works. There's too many assets in the region. We have troops on the ground. We have Ebola standing by. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. And embassies have been evacuated in anticipation of some unrest in the region. So, a surprise upset.
Huh.
Yeah. From a guy who did odd jobs in Brussels.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Wonder what kind of odd jobs there are in Brussels. Working at a French fry stand. Assassin. He's also one of these guys who wears the white clothes, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
These guys are crazy. Yeah. We got I have the R. Kelly story, which I thought was kind of weird.
You don't know about this? It's been going on for years, this story.
No, I know. That's what they say in the clip that's been going on for years. And I guess the guy's finally got his comeuppance.
All right.
The documentary series about the singer R. Kelly has prosecutors in Illinois and Georgia taking a fresh look at the music superstar. A number of women have accused Kelly of crimes, including sexual assault. Jerika Duncan is following this.
I believe I can fly.
The Grammy-winning singer and songwriter is now under legal scrutiny in 2 states for alleged sexual and physical abuse of multiple women. Calls to investigate the 52-year-old were reignited after the 6-hour docuseries Surviving R. Kelly aired on Lifetime.
I felt like a prisoner.
Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox is asking anyone with information to come forward.
The recent allegations against entertainer R. Kelly and the recent Lifetime docuseries are deeply, deeply disturbing.
She has been in touch with families from the docuseries who are looking for their loved ones.
I hope and pray that the DA makes a move quick from out of Chicago or out of Atlanta, because at this point he may be leaving the country with these girls and whoever to try to flee from this situation.
Timothy and Jonjolyn Savage, who were featured in the Lifetime series, say their 23-year-old daughter, Joycelyn Savage, has been brainwashed by R. Kelly, despite several videos she has made.
And I'm in a happy place with my life,
where she says she's fine. Kelly's award-winning career has been shadowed by sexual misconduct allegations for more than 2 decades. He was acquitted of engaging in sex acts with a 13-year-old back in 2008.
I believe by the documentary has opened up a new era, and I believe it's power in numbers, and I believe it will be a conviction this time.
Okay. I have looked into this somewhat. I've followed this for a while. This is not a secret in the music business, although I've never encountered it myself with R. Kelly or anyone else for that matter. But this is a well-known situation. But there's an issue because R. Kelly knows too much. And that's why the pussies in Hollywood are staying home. That's the only reason. There's a lot going on in Hollywood in today's media landscape where everyone is really the journalist. We're collective journalists. This stuff is just out there, but they're afraid to go in. The cops, I think, also are very worried about their culpability because there's stuff going on that is
stuff.
Yeah. Well, let me give you another example in Hollywood.
Black lives matter here.
A grief-stricken community erupting outside of a prominent Democratic donor's West Hollywood apartment.
Don't go in there. You don't die.
For the second time in less than 2 years, authorities say a young black man was found dead inside Ed Buck's home. In 2017, 26-year-old Jamel Moore was found dead, and LA County deputies ruled it an overdose. Then Monday morning, authorities say another man was found unresponsive.
I've gotten reports today that the person who died today was in his 50s. I don't care if he was in his 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or older. He was a black man, and he died of an overdose in Ed Buck's house.
The political donor has never been arrested or charged for either death, though both cases are now under investigation. Buck's attorney says he was just trying to help drug addicts down on their luck.
This is not a situation where Mr. Buck has caused the death. This is a situation where Mr. Buck has had longtime friends who unfortunately do not handle their life well.
Protest organizer Jasmine Canick paints a different picture. She claims he targets vulnerable young black men and lures them to his apartment with the promise of drugs, sex, and money. Activists turning their anger toward Buck's neighbors, saying they're complicit in the deaths.
Now listen to the neighbors. This is very interesting. All of them white, by the way.
We're going to be out here every night. Every night.
You should not want him living here. I think it's great. I think that they should be out here, and I think that they should be fighting for the rights of the both boys that died, of both men that have died.
Notice his flub? In the beginning, we heard, he might be 50. It wasn't really a boy. Listen, this is a boy. It was a young boy. That's obvious. And this guy even says, these boys, I mean men. Listen.
I think it's great. I think that they should be out here, and I think that they should be fighting for the rights of the both boys that died, of both men that have died.
I understand, wondering, you're his neighbor, where was your role? And the reality is that we're neighbors. We're not going to call the police on any black man who walks into our building. That's quite racist on its own, and that would never occur to me. My question is, what role does the police department play in this?
Yes, what role does the police play in this?
It's taken a while to develop. Now, like you said, they like to keep everything hushed up. I found a reference to this whole thing with this first guy, Jamel, in The Advocate, which is the gay newspaper that will bring up stuff that other people won't bring up, including some tweets the guy made saying that this Buck character had got him hooked on meth by injecting him, and then apparently like to get these guys high on meth because it gives them some sort of some sexual thing involved here. And he would just, unfortunately take it too far, and he killed the first guy who was bitching about this, being hooked on meth because he didn't want to be hooked on meth. And I guess the second guy was a similar situation, but I guess he got black kids up there and he gave them, a nice dose or whatever, something like that. The police aren't investigating. It's pretty tawdry.
Yeah. And you know what'll happen is this will all get plowed under the new Michael Jackson documentary that's coming out, where two supposed former lovers of his will tell all. So that'll cover everything up for a while as the media will discuss that ad nauseum. Whereas my personal experience with Michael Jackson is he's asexual. Well, that's a different story. But it is Hollywood. It is entertainment. It is entertainment law. It is, and by coincidence, I think a lot of Republicans have repressed homosexuality, but the Democrats, they go for other stuff. And, not condemning anything, but when people get hurt, it's a problem. Here's Alan Dershowitz. He's also still kind of on the block with this Lolita Express. He showed up on some Fox News segment, and he discussed allegations against him. The ending is of particular interest.
So the book is out now, The Case Against the Democratic House Impeaching Trump. We have to ask you before you hit the road, basically about what happened in Florida with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. I know that you are his attorney.
I was his attorney during the time that he was being prosecuted. I have no legal, I've not taken a fee from him in years and years and years. But when you're somebody's attorney, you can't stop answering questions. So when he has a question now about the deal that was struck, I'm available to talk to him.
You know, there was a big investigation. The Miami Herald just did it. And, of course, your name came up about possible accusations of dealing with women who were underage.
Totally made up. Look, as to the first woman who accused me, her own lawyer admitted in front of witnesses that she was wrong, just wrong, that I couldn't have been in the places. The second woman is a woman who wrote to the New York Post claiming she had videotapes of Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump having sex with underage girls. The New York Post said, we don't believe you. They wouldn't even publish her story, but she's one of the people. So, you know, these are all come from the same source, David Boies, the attorney who's furious at me because I filed bar charges, unethical bar charges against him, and he threatened me that unless I withdrew the bar charges, he would find somebody else to accuse me. I don't think anybody believes this. Anybody takes this seriously. It's not like Me Too. Me Too, the men all knew the women. I never met these people. They're total strangers to me, and I'm looking for an opportunity. I'm looking for a trial. Let's have a hearing. There are emails that are secret, but that prove not only that I was framed, but who framed me. It names names. These people are going to go to jail once these emails come out, because this was a total frame-up for financial reasons, and I can prove it and will prove it. Have me back on the show when the emails come out. Boy, will it be so interesting. There'll be prominent people in handcuffs.
Wow.
Prominent people in handcuffs once these emails come out.
So when this starts to happen, and there's more, because the Golden Globes, all kinds of controversies, certainly amongst the millennial set, despise Bohemian Rhapsody winning because of the involvement of director who was fired before it was finished, Bryan Singer. Brian with a Y, Singer. You should look that up. You know, other issues. Green Book, of course, is just a white privilege movie. But when these things happen, when this stuff starts to get out, we have a segment for it, and weird things happen in Hollywood.
Another tale of the Hollywood Whackers.
Oh, yeah. Who will go first? Someone's gotta die.
I found it interesting that he mentioned David Boies as the lawyer, because his name has been in the news forever. He's the guy who cross-examined Bill Gates in the antitrust case.
It doesn't get much better than all that, does it?
No, it's fantastic.
It's just beautiful. Truly, truly beautiful.
We're not talking about stuff like that. I do have a letter I want to read.
Oh, okay.
This is from EB. John and Adam, a quick note. Just read the newsletter, and your mention of Wells Fargo brought me back to a year ago when I resigned from that hellhole of an incompetent and corrupt company.
Yes, I'm so happy you brought this note to the show. It's a great one. It's a great note.
You've read in the news that they are outsourcing 10% of their workforce. Bullshit! 2 years ago, as we technology managers were told we had to come up with a list of jobs that we could be sent to EGS, Enterprise Global Services, in India. It had to be 25% of our department, no exceptions. This is an ongoing exercise, and you can be sure more American jobs will be outsourced in the coming months. These people are as un-American as any foreign company. They exist to rip off the consumer to the greatest extent possible. I recommend my fellow no-agenda producers to avoid this bank like the plague that it is.
This is a no-agenda tip.
It's a tip.
A very obvious tip. I know someone who is considering changing their financial institution because of this note.
You?
No.
The keeper?
I say nothing.
Oh, the keeper.
Why? Don't do that.
What?
She already feels bad about it. She wants to eliminate everything from there. Well, I was actually going to ask you. That's what I said I would ask you, but since you bring it up on the show. I think she should consider pulling her money out, although she's never had a problem.
Well, I have a mortgage with them. And so we go in to discuss some insurance settlement for some storm.
Oh, it's for your roof.
Yeah, the roof.
Yeah.
And so I go in there and the guy says, okay, what's your account number? And then I give him the account number. I say, although you may have some other account numbers for me that I don't know about.
Did he get the joke or did he start looking?
Oh, he cracked up. He told me he was on the way out anyway. He's leaving.
Oh, all right.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that may be solid advice. That's kind of boots on the ground. You don't need much more reporting on than that.
I don't know why people do business with some of these big banks like that.
Well, so you got to sometimes.
I got a couple interesting oddball clips.
Well, can I do a serious topic and we'll take a break and then we can do oddballs?
Well, they're not oddball unserious, but yes, you do your serious clips. We'll take the break and then I'll do these clips.
So now comes to us from science, from actual science. Scientists in the UK and US are convinced that our embassy personnel in Cuba their brains were damaged through hearing crickets.
Now you're telling me this is serious? This clip you're going to play? Because this was the stupidest thing. I'm surprised I didn't get a copy of this clip.
It's not. It's not.
This is. What is the point? If you're going to do something like this, why don't you make it? Fire. Those fire beepers or something. There's a million things you could do, but crickets do not cause brain damage.
I mean, and I got the paper that they produced, and they're showing these audio waveforms, and look, it's exactly the same as the short-tailed cricket. Are you? I mean, this is almost as funny as NIST and the World Trade Towers. This is steel melting. This is hilarious.
This is like it was actually done in The Onion and got into the wild.
Let me just read it so people get the context of the reporting. Sonic attack on U.S. Embassy in Havana could have been crickets, but then they go further than could have. Noise which saw diplomats complaining of headaches and nausea was song of Indy's short-tailed cricket.
And brain damage.
Fresh analysis of the audio recording has revealed what scientists in the UK and US now believe is the true source of the piercing din. It is the song of the Indy's short-tailed cricket, formerly known as the Anaragrillus celernicaticatus. The recording is definitely a cricket that belongs to the same group, said Fernando Montelguez Zapata, professor of sensory biology at the... Well, there's this one recording that we even played it on the show, and we didn't get brain damage. The call of this Caribbean species is about 7 kilohertz and is delivered at an unusually high rate, which gives humans the sensation of a continuous sharp trill. Well, I can go on and on and on, but I would just like to play you the Associated Press report of when this first happened and what they were saying happened to these people and try and match that up with this obvious propaganda.
Doctors who are treating the victims of the unexplained attacks on Americans in Cuba have discovered abnormalities in their brain as they've been searching for answers for how these patients developed all kinds of symptoms ranging from neurological to vision and cognitive problems. The doctors have found changes in the white matter tracks. White matter in the brain acts like highways of information that lets different parts of the brain talk to each other. These are the most specific medical findings to date that doctors have been able to come up with, showing that whatever harmed the Americans in Cuba, it led to discernible, measurable changes in their brain. Investigators still don't know what kind of device or weapon could cause these types of changes in the brain. And outside experts tell the AP that acoustic waves or sound has never been shown to change white matter tracks. They also say it's very unusual to see changes in the white matter without also seeing changes to the gray matter, neurons that process information in the brain. The U.S. says 24 American government workers in Havana were hit by unexplained attacks in their homes and in some cases hotels. Almost all of the Americans heard some unexplained sound and then later developed symptoms. Some of those symptoms included hearing loss, cognitive problems, memory and balance issues, and even eyesight problems. The U.S. says it still doesn't know who's doing this, but as it learns more about what's happened to these victims, they're learning more about how to treat potential cases in the future.
Again, Associated Press. Journalists.
Now that was the original. That was the original report.
Yeah, that was the original report.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I don't need to do any clips because this is now just pawned off as ha ha ha. It's a toss away story into the break.
Yeah, it makes the original unless someone could show a. I mean, it is possible that there's an element of mass hysteria, which does happen.
Mm-hmm.
That accounts for this. In other words,
so one person got all nutty, maybe Trump derangement syndrome.
Similar. But Trump derangement syndrome is a form of mass hysteria. There's no question about it in my mind.
Well, this is like the, what's it called? If someone starts puking on an airplane, everyone can start puking. There's a term for it.
There's also the instances where one girl in a school has something going on with her, and then another girl gets whatever this mystery is.
Talking like this is very infectious.
That could be it too.
Yes, if you know what I mean.
But I'm very dubious about this because it happened at a different embassy in China, I think, and then there was other miscellaneous reports of this occurrence, and there was some Canadians that got affected by it, and there was some suspicion. The way the CIA talked about it was very suspicious to us. We had clips, made it sound like they were experimenting.
But what's interesting about it is that the audio that the research was based on is audio from the Associated Press. Yeah, they are the ones that published that. They had the recording.
Okay.
So, I don't know. It's.
But we have some counter propaganda coming out here and there, and I think this has been going on for a while. I always see this as, I don't know what the point of it is, but they keep doing it. Medical marijuana and driving.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
People in 33 states and Washington, D.C. can legally use medical marijuana to ease their pain and other conditions. But how many are driving while high? A new study in one state found that more than half admit to it. Dr. John LaPook has more on the safety concerns.
At the most advanced driving simulator in the world, at the University of Iowa, the study of the effects of driving under the influence of cannabis has been in high gear.
It looks like a spaceship.
And there's an entire car inside.
Dr. Marilyn Huestis has been studying cannabis for 20 years. She put me in the driver's seat when we visited the lab for 60 minutes.
This really feels like I'm driving.
Doesn't it? What a fabulous resource this is for us to safely evaluate the effects of drugs. The ability to take information in, evaluate it, make decisions, and initiate them, greatly affected by cannabis.
You have marijuana in the car?
Those potential dangers are at the heart of a study out today which found more than half of Michigan residents surveyed who use medical cannabis for chronic pain admitted to driving while a little high. 1 in 5 admitted to driving while very high. That's a concern for law enforcement. There are 2.1 million medical marijuana users across 33 states.
Wow, I am really high.
Yeah, this, of course, is not good, people. This is not good. Can't be driving when you're
The funny
high.
thing is, Mimi likes to point this out all the time, and I've seen it. Up in Washington State, where it's been legal for quite a while, I mean, it's kind of semi-legal in California all the time, and you don't notice it so much. But up there, you see the following: some guy with kind of a crabbed, a Ford Escort, it's never been washed, is black, and it's all grimy, and it's kind of, and one tire's a little low, and it's going down the road kind of sideways, and it's the inside of the car you can't see in, not because because there's so much smoke has been in the car that smoked the windows, so they're kind of opaque. And as this thing bumbles down the road, it's always doing around 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy.
He's stoned, and he's like, you can, if you go by him, you can see him. He's hunched over the wheel, gripping the wheel with both hands, and his head is just above the wheel because he's just freaked. And he's going down the road, and there he goes, the stoner, in his crabbed Ford Escort, and it's. I don't see the safety issue here. It's pretty obvious what's going on, and you can just avoid him. I mean, maybe you get rear-ended. I think that's the danger.
Well, this is just about getting some kind of legislation on the books, make more money.
Well,
get people are buying illegal weed in California because it's too expensive. It's cheaper to get from the underground circuit.
Yeah, that's true. So I got this story, and then I immediately thought, this is Seattle. I think there's a big problem going on with some of these, with all the West Coast cities. San Francisco is, poop city, and it's poorly managed. There's millions of homeless, and there's encampments all over the place.
Oh, wait, I have a poop city quick clip.
It appears that a 21-year-old Baltimore man, known by the alias Doo-Doo Butt, was arrested for a road rage-style shooting. Baltimore police say on October 13th they were called to Old Frederick Avenue, where they found a 20-year-old man suffering from gunshot wounds. Ward, a.k.a. Doo-Doo Butt, was wanted for first-degree murder and was arrested in Pennsylvania on a Maryland warrant. No word on how he got that alias.
I'm sorry.
I picked it up in San Francisco. Yes, another fine no agenda clip of the day. I'll give you that.
Oh, really? Oh, shoot! That was my throwaway of the day, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Clip of the day.
Doo-doo butt, please. What, honey? Did you like the show? Yeah, the doo-doo butt clip was fantastic. Everything else falls by the wayside.
Everything else, was just second rate. Now, but Seattle is Portland, which is almost broke. It's all those idiots that Portlandia makes fun of. Seattle's probably worse, and they got the so listen to this clip about the two Seattle council members go to New York City to screw with Amazon.
In New York City, two Seattle city councilors warned activists and local leaders about the potential unwanted consequences of the new Amazon headquarters due to be built in Queens, New York. At a Monday organizing event, they said Seattle did not respond fast enough to Amazon's expansion, which left Seattle with a housing crisis as real estate prices soared. The councilors urged New Yorkers to resist an unfettered corporate takeover and demand fair labor conditions. Right. Since Amazon's announcement of its HQ2 plans in November, community organizations and some local leaders have been protesting the move. Last month, workers at a new Amazon fulfillment center in Staten Island announced plans to unionize, citing safety, long hours, and low pay as some of their concerns.
And so what's the problem now?
And of course, I said when Amazon picked New York that Bezos is clueless about the unions in the New York metropolitan area.
He has no idea what he's getting into.
And it was actually a union, a warehousing or some union guy that actually invited a Washington state senator. They didn't mention that, plus the two council members. And I was kind of misled by this report, thinking it was the radicals, just radicals on the Seattle City Council, and especially one woman in particular who just hates Amazon and wishes it would leave. And she wants to put a head tax on them.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even one of the people that went. These meddlers that go from place to place like this. There's no reason for the Seattle City Council to have its members talking. But maybe there is if you want to unionize. So this is going to be a huge problem for Bezos. I think he's going to be in for trouble. He's trouble.
Well, we live in very interesting times where this is the times where news was just not news. Journalism doesn't exist. It's just us. And we're just trying to plow through it and make everyone feel a little bit better. It is the No Agenda Show.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Yeah, we do want to thank a few people. I'll start off again with the some of the people that showed up at the Flash meetup in Berkeley.
Ah, good.
Including a dude named Mohammed, who donated $60. Mike Bradshaw, 8008 from San Francisco. Mark Meredith, 50.55. He had a nice card. Brian Gard $110. Sir Josh Defabaugh, and he told me he had to pronounce his name, and I can't remember. He says you're pronouncing it wrong. It's Defabaugh.
Oh,
or you're pronouncing it wrong. It's Defabah. I can't remember which of those two things he said.
Good work.
He said one of the two. Jim Lesko in Alameda, 5280. And that was for Cordelia Mellor, who needs a de-douching.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
And I apologize for anybody I left out, but Ryan Headum in Elk Grove, California, donated $100.33. So, and there's probably some others I just had lost track of somehow, some way. Anyway, onward with the regular list of the people that didn't come. We start up with Andrew Young, 12345. Keep the good work. Brandon Gruber, Vista, California, $112.35.
And we need to pause here because, hello, gentlemen, he says, this donation added up with my previous should allow me to be knighted. If not too long, may I please be knighted as Sir Brandon, Knight of the Bare Metal State Machine. Of course. Additionally, may I please request a birthday shout-out to my smoking hot wife, Dame Illuminatia. Yours from Brandon G. Of course. And congratulations. See you on the podium in a few.
Al Aversa in Charles City, Virginia, $111.11. And he's going to be a knight, but I don't see him on the list. No, he wants to delay it. He wants to delay it.
Yeah, he's delayed, but he does want a de-douche for his dad, Len, for his birthday on Friday. So he's on the list, but I'll give him a de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
Remember, people, we really only read notes for execs and associate execs. So we happened to pick it out. We kind of got lucky.
Matthew Frank, Mentor, Ohio, $110.19. 10 years of avid listening. Ann Spillers in Crozet, Virginia.
Crozet.
You think it's Crozet? Did she say that? Crozet?
It says it right there in her note. Crozet. Rhymes with Jose. It's French, you boneheads. It's outside Charlottesville.
Well, in Virginia, you don't know what it is. Robert Petta, $110. Sarah Perry in Hanson, New York, $109.90. Now, she did handwrite a note.
That does get priority.
Interesting.
Yeah, gets priority.
I thought it was also interesting enough to be read. I listened to your episode 1099 Wobama. You bring up Abu Jamal. Yesterday, I listened to What's Really Happened, Mike Rivero, Friday, 12/28/18 on the YouTube channel. Abu Jamal is mentioned 2 times. What's up? Someone's agenda to free him? The Abu, that's Mumia, free Mumia.
Mm-hmm.
There are other somewhat disturbing comments during that 1.5 hours I watched and listened. So-called good Germans, 1. 2, currently seeing white people in South Africa being killed and tortured, and it's become socially acceptable, quote unquote. IQ is a fact, but I don't agree. 4, one reason for hostility of Trump's Make America Great Again campaign makes politicians acknowledge that we're not a great country. Thanks for analyzing analysis of Democracy Now! I remember seeing Amy with the microphone in a crowd waiting for Building 7 to come down.
A note with a kicker. Good.
I don't know if I mentioned this on the last show, but somebody at the meetup says one of Amy's executive, actual working producers, listens to our show intently.
Really?
Yeah, I can get his name. We can.
Wait, one of Democracy Now! War and Peace Report, Amy Goodman's producers listens to us.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Throw it. Just write something in the morning or something.
Yeah, put in the morning, and Amy could say it. She wouldn't know what she's reading. You know,
she'll read anything. She'll read anything.
Yeah, she will. Robert, where was I? Annie. Okay, Robert Petta, $110. Sarah Petta, I just did her Petri. Mark Richter in Bellingham, Washington, $100. Sir, a dude named Ben, 8008, Los Angeles, California. Lynn Fogwell.
With the boobs?
8008. Now, so I had an Easter egg in the last newsletter because somebody had found a baby changing room or a lactation room that you had to punch a code in to get
app.
into.
In the
and
app.
the code was 8008.
I know, it was fantastic.
You know that was done on purpose.
Of course it was. Someone has humor.
But nobody picked up on it. They clicked on it. I got these 2 donations. Lynn Fogwell.
We were too busy laughing.
Pete the Cook, 777 in St. Paul, Minnesota. Brian Klimzak.
Pete needs a de-douching. He's been a boner for a long time.
You've been de-douched.
You've been de-douched, Pete.
Yep.
Brian Klimzak, 75. Michael Astfalk.
Aus Deutschland.
But he's donated before, $69.42. Baron Mark Tanner, our regular, $67.89 from Whittier. Brian Pearson, 6666. Mark Johnson, 63. Peter Chong, 5555. Tara Reese in Urbana, Illinois, 5133. I don't know what you're making with the sorghum. Wait, let me read this. Hold on a second. I know what you're making with the sorghum, but try using less fat. A little gluten-free tip. Didn't help me.
Tara, he needs a whole recipe.
I need something. I need some methodology, complete methodology for cooking it. Larry Hay in Mooresville, North Carolina, 50. The following people are $50 donors, name and location, starting with Larry Hay. Tony Smith in Fort Worth, Texas. Drew Mochak in El Cerrito, California. Hey, Drew. Anthony Rodriguez in Tucson, Arizona. Robert Dakany in Fairfax, Virginia. We know what goes on there. Joseph Pumphrey in Brandon, Mississippi. Edward Mazurek in Memphis, Tennessee. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio. Roy Ten Hava in Pijnacker, Netherlands. Heather Rodriguez in Stockton, California. Jay Wozniak in Chandler, Arizona. Alan D. Peterson, parts unknown. Eric Elan in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, one of the crowd there. Sir Baron Alan Bean in Oakland, California. Sir Jason DeLuzio in Chatsford, Pennsylvania. And finally, last but not least, Kyle Meyer in Atlanta, Georgia, a regular.
Yes.
I think all these folks are producing show 1090. What is it, 1092? It's 1192.
1102.
1102.
It's Thursday. Well, thank you very much, producers. Good work. This is very helpful. We appreciate your contributions. Those from people came under 50 for anonymity or on one of our programs. Definitely check them out. They're sustaining programs, and we appreciate that a lot. And you can support the work for the coming Sunday show at
Dvorak.org/NA.
You recall on the last show we spoke of Jim Watts, human resource, Reed, who is a world-class World Cup luge competitor.
Yes.
A luge racer, which we're kind of all jacked about, I have to say. I saw a video of him. Holy crap.
Is he good?
Very good. I say when he was in Korea. Oh, my goodness, it was great. And this, of course, propagates throughout our Value for Value network. Sir Chris, the drunken minstrel from Australia, he said, Adam, given the esteemed nature of the activity of our producer, Jim Watts, human resource, at being a World Cup luge racer, I thought it appropriate to create a custom karma for young Reed to afford him every opportunity of success. And this won't work probably on Skype because it's a stereo effect, but here it is.
You've got karma.
That was a goat luging from left to right throughout your brain.
Goat luging.
It was the goat luging. Wow. Yeah, I know. Wow, right? We have... Now, go and find that at MSNBC. Go and find someone with that creativity and actually execute it and have it ready for the next show.
They don't even know what a goat is. A goat? Greatest of all time?
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All right, everybody, there's your gratuitous karma.
It's your birthday.
And here's a list list for today, January 10th, 2019. First belated birthday to Scott Alvarado, who celebrated on the 6th. Sorry we missed you there, Scott. Al Aversa says happy birthday to his dad, Len. He celebrates tomorrow. And Brandon Gruber says happy birthday to his smoking hot wife, Dame Illuminati. We say the same here from your buddies at the best podcasting in the universe. No title changes for today, but we do have a daming and a knighting to take place. So we'll grab our blades. Yes, I see it. Perfect. On to the podium, Jennifer Weeda, Matt Weaver, and Brandon Gruber. You three have supported the No Agenda Show in the amount of $1,000 or more, and therefore I'm very proud to bring you into the round table of the Knights and the Dames and pronounce to Kate the Dame Jennifer of the Gypsy Nation. Sir 737, Knight of the Bozosphere, and Sir Brandon, Knight of the Bare Metal State Machine. You have at the table hookers and blow, red poison, Chardonnay, pierogies, and peppermint schnapps. We got chilled Polish potato vodka, Harlots and Handel, Rubenesque women and rosé, beer and blunts, redhead and rye, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, and mutton and mead. And please go to noagendanation.com/rings. Let Eric the Shill know what size you need, and all the details will get out to you as soon as possible. And thank you for supporting the work. Thank you for supporting the show. And thank you for the value that you've put back into the network. It is highly appreciated.
And we should mention there's some ring sizes that we ran out of. There's a new order just went out.
Yep, I saw the invoice.
Bunch of rings. So
quite a bunch of
rings coming in.
It's great people achieve this. I mean, like, we got to go get the rings. Like, holy crap, I forgot about the rings. I'm glad you're running the finances.
We had a bunch of people at the meetup with the rings on.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah, people show up with rings. Remember, 22nd of February, meetup in Des Moines, Iowa. Details coming. Yesterday, Sir Gene dropped by the common law condo. He said, I got something for you. Come down. I'm like, all right. And he gave me a 2019 survival package consisting of a collection of metal straws, which we'll be needing, of course, with the elimination of all straws, and a 2-pack of yellow vests. Now, knowing that Gene is obviously some sort of handler of sorts, being the direct Russian contact of the show for many years, you know, I met him in Dallas, and when I moved to Austin, he moved to Austin. Just saying.
Well, maybe he likes Austin. And
he's invited the keeper and I to the Russian New Year Sunday.
Yeah, the Russians have, I didn't know there's a Russian New Year.
Yeah, I think it's the Orthodox thing. It's on the 12th or
maybe
13th. Yeah, which is basically really, really sickening food and great vodka. You know, it's like beets and eggs and you go like, oh, this is so interesting. Oh, this is great what you guys eat. By the way, you eat shit in Russia. It's horrible. except for that they have a carbonated drink. I forget the name already. It's kind of like a
vodka.
Yes, that's the one. That's my favorite of all of them. But the yellow jackets are appreciated. I don't know if the yellow vest revolution will come to the United States. It is everywhere.
Well, it definitely isn't coming to Austin.
No, we got equity coming to Austin. Here's the latest in France, what is happening, and there's a new twist in everything.
The Prime Minister yesterday said that against ultra-violence, the only answer is ultra-toughness. So he announced a couple of measures, one of them being the fact that people who are partaking in unannounced or undeclared demonstrations can be arrested immediately. Another one of his ideas is to introduce some kind of register for people known to use violence during demonstrations.
A list.
And he used the example of hooliganism. In the beginning of this century, France and many other European countries tackled hooliganism by introducing stadium bans for well-known hooligans. Edouard Philippe, the Prime Minister, wants something similar now for people who are violent during demonstrations. This is not really new, actually. It's already a law that has been passed in the Senate, but not yet in the lower house in France last year. So the measures and the law and the text, everything is already ready. So it's now up to the French Parliament to decide whether they want to implement these new measures.
Hold on, did he say the tax? What?
Here. So the measures and the law and the text, everything is...
Yeah. Or text, maybe text.
So the measures...
Or a tax.
No, I think text. the texts.
Yeah, one more time.
In the lower house in France last year. So the measures and the law and the text, everything is already ready.
I think it's the text, because he's saying that the law is ready to be passed. It's the text of the law.
So it's now up to the French Parliament to decide whether they want to implement these new measures to tackle the extreme violence we've seen over the last couple of weeks during the demonstrations of the Yellow Vests.
Yes, because the public must know that this is not just people who are angry and citizens like their neighbors. No. This is hooligans, people who hate gays and are anti-Semitic, and that's the people. So we have to put them on a list.
Now the French aren't that stupid.
And don't go out protesting unless it's pre-approved and you've been registered as well. Everything's going to be good.
Registered.
I put in the show notes 2 versions of the fantastic Kurt Vonnegut story, Harrison Bergeron. Two complete different interpretations of the story. One is 20 minutes, is very short, but I did not know, and one of our producers tweeted this to me, that there was a full version with Christopher Plummer starring in it of this story. And if you don't know Harrison Bergeron, what the story is, you must get this from the show notes, nashownotes.com. We'll make sure it's highlighted prominently, or just go to the YouTubes and look for Harrison Bergeron movie, Vonnegut maybe, and it's about an hour and 37 minutes. But it shows you to the T what we are going through today in social justice and how we are trying to equalize everybody and make it all fair, and, well, obviously, how it works out in the story. Have you ever seen that? I know we've talked about it. Have you ever actually seen one of those movies?
Probably. I just so long ago.
Well, yes. I might have seen it years ago, and I don't even remember.
I don't remember much. But I do remember my commentary that, these guys are bringing out, they're running people off of campus. They're not letting people speak, the Giannis's and all these other characters. It always backfires. And now you have a situation where, of all people, was disinvited to an event, is, of all people, is the really famous old lefty from the past, Angela Davis.
She was Angela Davis?
Play it.
Oh, my goodness.
Civil rights leader Angela Davis has responded to the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute's decision to revoke a human rights award in her honor over her activism for Palestinian rights and criticism of Israel. Davis says she was stunned by the move. In a statement, she responded, "The rescinding of this invitation and the cancellation of the event where I was scheduled to speak was not primarily an attack against me, but rather against the very spirit of the indivisibility of justice," she said. Davis will instead appear at an alternative event in Birmingham in her honor.
Oh, man. I'm going crazy.
Bites you in the ass, doesn't it?
Going crazy. I've been working on this this document that's produced by the Equity Office in Austin. I can't go through it today. But, man, we're a bunch of racist people here in Austin. If you read this report. Everything's institutionalized. All racism in Austin is institutionalized racist.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, when you read it, I don't know if it's, I don't know. I'm marking it up. There's a lot to go through. I'll see if I think it's show worthy. Some of it. Some of it's just crazy. But, yeah, Austin is kind of the pinnacle, kind of the prime example. Segregated schools. Like all these rich people who have Beto in their yard sign, all their kids are in like 100% white schools.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want to mix.
I'm glad I don't have kids that are going to school, so at least I can ridicule other people.
So here in California, I just have my one last clip, is Gavin Newsom. You wonder why a lot of Latinos are wanting to come to California and fill up the state. They have to vote Democrat, of course, illegally, but that's just the way it works here. But Newsom's giving away free medical to everybody.
In In California, Governor Gavin Newsom introduced a health care proposal on his first day in office that would strengthen the Affordable Care Act and expand health care access for undocumented youth up to the age of 26. California's Medicaid program currently covers undocumented youth up to the age of 19. The plan would also restore the individual mandate in California, which was revoked in the 2017 Republican tax bill.
Wow, you guys got your own country going over there.
Oh, yeah. And apparently de Blasio is going to try and do the same thing in New York, same kind of thing.
Oh, New York, by the way.
Show up and you get free medical.
Most segregated schools in the United States in New York.
Yeah, well. Tell that to the judge.
Yeah. Maybe you East and West Coasters, you should get together. I'm feeling pretty good here in the flyover part of the country.
I think we should become
pretty good.
A separate kind of a split state with the big middle.
I do have a report. I got it since we have a few more minutes here. There's a couple things I can do. Other stuff will move over to Sunday. Modern problems in the UK.
Well, we've got a monster of a fatberg under the seafront here in Sidmouth. It's about 64 metres long, we think, which is the equivalent of about 6 double-decker buses. So this is created by fat, but also with wet wipes and things. So our message, particularly around toilet and the way people use their toilets, is to only flush the 3 Ps. That is pee, paper and poo. Woo! And nothing else. Everything else needs to go in the bin. And the same applies with fat in the kitchen sink. Don't pour hot fat down the kitchen sink. It needs to go into a container and also put in the bin.
This is really...
That's not true.
What?
You can emulsify fat with some soap and hot water, and it's fine to dump it down the drain.
Have you seen any of these fatbergs in the sewer?
No.
It's so 60 meters long.
Well, that's because people put fat down the drain where they don't emulsify.
Well, what's getting blamed for it is toilet wipes. That's the one thing I keep hearing is toilet wipes. Are they going to go the way of the straw? I'll bet you they are.
Maybe.
This is our exit strategy. We need recyclable toilet wipes or something like that, or that we
there
make
you
them.
Go. Yeah, you wipe your butt and then you wash it in the washing machine a few times, and then you can use it again.
No, or it should or maybe better. Nah, people aren't going to do that. We should have some kind of butt wipe where it's kind of like a mitten, and so after you've wiped, then you fold it inside out.
Wipe again.
No, then you can dispose of it in the bin. You know, so the whole thing is just maybe I think maybe everyone should get one of those smart toilets.
It already sounds like an expensive item.
This just doesn't sound like a great exit strategy, is what I'm thinking.
Well, no. Well, that's all these ideas have been.
Oh man, you can be so mean to me now.
Well, I got some bad ones too.
See, Cheryl Atkinson. Yeah, Cheryl Atkinson is back on the vaccine thing. Showing that the researcher who was the professor who was asked to testify on behalf of the government told them that in some cases vaccines do cause autism, and so it's not really new information, but she's bringing it back, and I'm happy she's doing that. Would you like to hear that?
Well, I'm wondering why she doesn't do more stuff. She focuses on this too much, but yes, play it because nobody else is.
And I believe the reason that she does this is because it was exactly these stories that got her fired in the first place. So she is kind of
she's got a bone to pick.
She does. Two-parter, 30 seconds on the first one.
Today we investigate one of the biggest medical controversies of our time, vaccines. There's little dispute about this much. Vaccines save many lives, and rarely they injure or kill. A special federal vaccine court has paid out billions for injuries from brain damage to death, but not for the form of brain injury we call autism. Now we have remarkable new information. A respected pro-vaccine medical expert used by the federal government to debunk the vaccine autism link says vaccines can cause autism after all. He claims he told that to government officials long ago, but they kept it secret.
So for those who don't remember Cheryl Atkinson, she worked for CBS News, and she was removed after it was the vaccine story, I think, that she got removed for.
I thought it was a couple of different things, but
also then she claims that the government was hacked her computer, and there's some some evidence of that. And they were tracking her, and whatever. Well, here's the second part. And of course she comes in with Kennedy, with the Kennedy kid, who understands what's going on and is obviously a problem for everybody. A reminder that in the United States of Gitmo Nation, vaccines are pretty much indemnified. If you die or become otherwise ill from a vaccination, the pharmaceutical companies have indemnity. It's a governmental indemnity. There is a vaccine court, and they do dole out millions a year to people. And this is not publicized, as you can imagine, but if you have an issue, there is a vaccine court. But surprise, surprise, there may have been some suppressed information, and Atkinson is always on it.
Dr. Zimmerman was the government's top expert witness and had testified that vaccines didn't cause autism. The debate was declared over.
But now Dr. Zimmerman has provided remarkable new information. He claims that during the vaccine court hearings all those years ago, he privately told government lawyers that vaccines can and did cause autism in some children. That turnabout from the government's own chief medical expert stood to change everything about the vaccine autism debate if the public were to find out.
And he has come forward and explained how he told the United States government the vaccines can cause autism in a certain subset of children. And the United States government, the Department of Justice, suppressed his true opinions.
Hazelhurst discovered that later when Dr. Zimmerman evaluated Yates as a teenager. That's when he partnered with vaccine safety advocate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has a voice condition.
This is one of the most consequential frauds.
I want them to introduce me that way. Or we should just do that for all these clips. And here she is, who has a voice condition. If it's like a Hummer.
Yeah.
Evaluated Yates as a teenager. That's when he partnered with vaccine safety advocate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has a voice condition.
This is one of the most consequential frauds, arguably in human history.
Kennedy was instrumental in convincing Dr. Zimmerman to document his remarkable claim of the government covering up his true expert opinion on vaccines and autism. Dr. Zimmerman declined our interview request and referred us to his sworn affidavit. It says on June 15, 2007, he took aside the Department of Justice or DOJ lawyers he worked for defending vaccines in vaccine court. He told them that he discovered exceptions in which vaccinations could cause autism. I explained that in a subset of children, vaccine-induced fever and immune stimulation did cause regressive brain disease with features of autism spectrum disorder.
This panicked the two DOJ attorneys, and they immediately fired Zimmerman. They called, that was on a Friday, and over the weekend they called Zimmerman and said his services would no longer be needed. They wanted to silence him.
Yeah, just contrast that with the Golden Globes, and we've got flu shots for you, everybody. That's how you have to kind of look at the world.
Yeah, slightly different. Well, it's like the 5G reporting from the CES compared to our show.
Well, it's also
Atkinson was fired over her insistence about the Benghazi coverage.
Oh, Benghazi, right.
Bitching about being Obama apologist. She didn't realize that CBS was in the bag, and she resigned.
So news came out this week, and this is to follow up to that clip. $30 billion spent last year in pharmaceutical marketing. $30 billion. But here's the interesting part. More than half of that, $18 billion, was marketing towards doctors. And a lot of that $18 billion was not ads. It was junkets, speaking engagements, all kinds of money.
Yeah.
30 billion of 18 billion
documented.
I mean, if the president could do any favor to the American people, it would be to disallow advertising. We're the only country with what's the other? Is it Australia? There's one other country
that allows this sort of thing.
Yeah. That should it's not healthy. My God, all I see on television is, fried food, chocolate bars, and then pharmaceutical ads. It's kind of like in succession. Eat this, and you'll see us soon with this shot for this thing.
Yeah, the media is way too dependent on this stuff.
And I think 75% of all medical students are on some kind of antidepressant. I mean, it's
wow.
built.
I don't need to know that.
It's built into the system. These guys are going in thinking, this shit's great, man.
Sorry I'm late, but come on in. I think it's your turn. Well, you are, let me look over your record here. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With thanks to Brian Longenecker, Rolfie van Staten Bezuningen, UK PMX, and Tom Starkweather for our end-of-show mixes, we will shut her down for today and return to you on Sunday with another episode of the No Agenda Show. Until that time, coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, it is FEMA Region number 6 if you're looking for me on the governmental or Google Maps, in the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA, and we'll see you on Sunday. Adios, mofos. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm telling you, the fog rolled back in, which is the latest I've seen it for a while, reminded of the 60s. I'm John C. Dvorak.
Stay tuned for Sunday's show right here on No Agenda and such. Adios, mofos.
And his coalition partner are throwing their support behind the movement and calling out President Macron of being against his own people.
The wealth gap is getting wider, and we've reached a point where there are the very rich and the very poor.
Prime Minister yesterday said that against ultra-violence, the only answer is ultra-toughness. People who are partaking in unannounced or undeclared demonstrations can be arrested immediately.
France's tax system is very complicated, with many loopholes and exemptions. It's an opaque system that makes it hard to see who pays what.
Excuse me.
Yes,
I need a break.
What do you need the rest for? What's the problem?
I just need it. I have my inner feelings. I understand myself, and I know when I need a break. And I'm telling myself internally, inside myself, I'm saying to myself, I need a break, and so I need a break. Holy moly!
What is that?
It's been long and hard.
Don't stop me in the middle when you didn't stop him in the middle. It is your president. Don't you dare. And don't talk to me. Don't you dare. Mr. Kelly, please do not leave. Don't you dare. And don't talk to me. Don't you dare. You dare. You dare. You dare. And don't talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Don't stop me in the middle when you get in the middle. When you get in the middle. When you get in the middle. No, I will not. No, I will not. No, I will not. No, I will not. Don't stop me in the middle when you get in the middle. When you get in the middle. Not 1 second. I do not yield. Not 1 second to you. I do not yield. Not 1 second. No, I will not yield. Not 1 second. You want a beer?
Hold on a sec. I'm gonna get me a beer.
here for now.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA